Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We do have a chaplain, please.
My favorite chaplain?
When I'm walking around at the jail, I've been called sheriff a couple times, so I'm not as pretty as he is. So. Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to come and pray tonight, and let us pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this commission and the work that they do in this community. Pray that your hand will be upon them, that you'll protect them, watch over them, and God, most of all, just give them wisdom in the decisions that they have to make. Father, I pray for this meeting tonight. I pray that everything goes smoothly and we have a sense of cooperation with citizens and the commission. And I pray your hand will be upon this meeting, and I pray that it'll get done at a good early time. Father, I also pray for the citizens of Burleigh County, that your hand will be upon them, watch over them, protect them, be with our first responders. And as this is the week for our correction officers nationally, we do thank you for our correction officers. Ask for their protection upon them and their families. Watch over them and protect them as well. Pray this in the name of your Son. Amen. Amen. Let's stand and do the national Pledge of Allegiance. I'm not singing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks for not singing.
Call the May 4th, 2026 meeting of the Burleigh County Park Board to order. First thing is roll call of members.
Commissioner Herman.
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Here.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Commissioner Bakken.
Here.
Commissioner Schwab.
Here.
Commissioner Bain.
Here.
Chairman Bittner.
Here. Next is the approval of the agenda. Commissioners, any additions, subtractions?
Mr. Chair, I would like to add, after item number 7, reviewing dredging bids.
Okay. Reviewing dredging bids. Anything else? I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve
with
amended
that
agenda.
change.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve with the change. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Bain.
Yes.
Commissioner Herman.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next is consideration of April 20th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair, I read them and would move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Bain.
Yes.
Commissioner Herman.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next is a public comment period. This is restricted to Burleigh County residents and landowners, and there's kind of a long list of policy that goes along with that. But if anybody has any public comment, come on up to the podium, give your name and address. It has to be relative, obviously, to the agenda or previous agenda. Anybody? Okay, second call. Anybody for public comment? Third call. Any public comment? I'm going to close the public comment period and move on to campground discussion. Commissioner Munson, you got that?
Mr. Chair, not sure where the campground discussion came from, other than some of our vault toilets are in by the one campground that we have. I would like to update the group that we did have an interview for our temporary park worker. I believe HR was going to make an offer today, so we hope to have some relief in that situation. HR is still working on the combined hybrid job description between county highway and park. If this young man does work out, he will be available to us the end of the first week of June to the end of July, which then would give us good time for Commissioner Schwab and I to hopefully interview candidates for a hybrid position that would work between the highway and the park board. So if everything falls into play, that'll work out really well for us as a group. I did have, and this is maybe where the park discussion came into play, I had a volunteer that is willing to watch the campground at Knifel for us. He wouldn't work for us, didn't want to pay for it, but he would check the campground on a daily, weekly basis to make sure that we didn't have residents in there longer than their 2-week period. And so with this group's consensus, if that is something that would work, especially between now and the time we hire our temporary worker, that individual would like to help us out. I thought that was a great offer on his part. I really appreciated it. He approached me after the last park board meeting to let me know that he would do that for us.
Sure.
Commissioner Buchan?
I love the fact somebody's willing to step up. The only question I have is, have you vetted that with Pam through HR as far as liability?
I have not, which first step here, if you guys are okay with the consensus, I will move past Pam.
If we can work through the liability
Yep.
concerns, then I would say absolutely.
Okay, wonderful.
And then clearly it's not an authority position.
Correct.
It would involve either communications with you or possibly the sheriff's
Yep.
department if something
Depending
needed
on-
to be done
Yep.
or what have you, but preferably through you first.
And we had that conversation last meeting, and he was great with that, so.
I don't
Feel
have
free
any
to call
problem.
Commissioner Munson at 3 a.m.
My ringer goes off at 8, just in case anybody wants to know. So on to the vault toilets in our parks. Because we don't have a temporary employee hired yet, I reached out, or I had Auditor Sponskowski reach out to secure bids on cleaning, cleaning our vault toilets at the parks. Obviously, you see the bid that's attached. It is fairly expensive. And Auditor Sponskowski, that is per cleaning?
I believe so, yes.
That's what I thought. $460 per cleaning to have a service go out and clean our vault toilets on site. I would recommend that we consider at least 2 of those cleanings between now and our temporary employee is hired. But I don't know if that, it's obviously not within my budget. I will have to find money somewhere within the portfolios that I have to pay for this. But we've had some complaints. I do know Auditor Sponskowski, they are now being pumped. Is that correct? They were 2 weeks ago that we had received that information. So they are being maintained in that fashion. They're being cleaned out, but they're not cleaned, they're not stocked with toilet paper. There's nothing being done at this point for that.
Sure.
Okay, hang on a second. I think we should point out that even though it sounds like, $460 per time is kind of a lot, we are talking about all of the individual places. We're talking Steckel Boat Landing, McLean Bottom, Knifel Landing, Swenson Park, and Kimball Bottom.
Yep.
Just so that the public understands that that's not for cleaning one.
It's not one.
One site.
Correct.
It's all those sites.
Right.
Commissioner Bakken.
Well, and just for a point of reference, just so the public knows, did you actually get a bid too on what a rental?
Rental, we had asked, but we haven't received that bid
Did we
yet.
not get that? Okay.
No.
Because I'm guessing this is notably less. I
You
would
know,
hope.
for Auditor Sponskowski, we pay for Mitchell out by Wing. Do you remember how much per year to have those?
Not offhand.
Not offhand, but a couple $1,000s seems to come to mind.
I think so.
Yeah, to have those
For the
spiffies
year?
for the year. And they're out there for 5 months, 5 months.
But that includes the cleaning contract.
That's
and
cleaning and
everything that goes with
emptying
them,
and
too, so.
yeah, all of that. So it's not far off from what this would cost. But
This is not a weekly.
this is per time,
As needed.
as needed.
Who's going to determine as needed?
I would recommend that we do it now and one more time between now and the temporary starts so that we stay ahead of, unfortunately, it's a bathroom, and unfortunately, things are not always as clean in there as they should be. But I would move to approve at least 2 cleanings between now and our temporary employee starts.
Second for discussion.
Motion and a second for discussion. Go ahead.
Have you began the process of identifying funding for this?
I have not.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcox?
don't each of these landings have a individual budget?
Yes, they do.
Then why can't we take it out of that? Each
The,
one.
the concern I have is that that was not budgeted. This, I budgeted equipment and personnel, county personnel to do that, not a service.
But the cost would be, like for Steckel, $150. McLean Bottoms would be what, $50. And
Per-
Knifel
per-
boat landing would be 75
Yeah.
per,
Per unit, per time.
that's only $150.
Yeah.
That's very reasonable, so.
So the question then is, from a budgetary perspective, you have budget for that temporary employee coming?
Well, I
but-
did not have,
Okay, so-
I had budgeted for Parks and Rec to do
Okay.
that work, not our own employee.
It'll probably wash, though.
It-
Yeah,
I would think it would
I would think it
wash,
would
but-
wash.
I think we can review the budget. We'll look at the year-end numbers. Taylor, get with me on the year-end stuff for those individual parks, and I think we'll keep this on the agenda for the next meeting so that we
Okay.
can discuss that financial part, but I suspect it won't be a problem. Sure.
So do you want a motion to,
Get them to do it right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to.
I think we need to. It's
Yeah.
been
Yep.
kind of a long time.
Been a
since
while. They've been cleaned.
Yeah.
Yep.
so next meeting will be just discussing the budget, but the motion is to approve.
To approve
Yeah,
it.
it's,
Yep.
we'll find out where we're gonna, pull the money from, but
Yep.
I think for that amount, we have to do it, so.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Bain?
Yes.
Commissioner Herman?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Chair Bittner?
Yes, motion carries.
The item that I had asked to be added to the agenda is the dredging bids. The bids will be opened on the 19th, which is the day after our next meeting. I'm asking for approval. If the bids come in below the $10,000 budget per ramp, if this committee would give me approval to move forward with those bids. Because otherwise, we're not reviewing them until the first week of June. And by the time we enter into the contracts with that individual to dredge, we're probably not getting dredged until the middle of June.
Right. Commissioners, Commissioner Munson mentioned this to me, and I do think that I have to agree with him that the ramps have sediment buildup that we probably should have already been on this, and the bid process is not necessarily what we should have been following here. We should have probably been following the quote process because it's such a low amount.
Yep.
And going through the bid process and whatnot is what has bowed us up. And I think if we wait until after the next meeting, that unnecessarily backs us up even further, Commissioners. And I would support Commissioners Munson request.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, actually.
Commissioner Bakken.
So the state of affairs right now with the dredging that needs to take place how well is the access? Because I know our boat ramps are being awfully burdened this
They-
spring because of what the
It's
city's doing.
almost, I can kind of answer that maybe a little bit. They're about half capacity.
Okay.
Well, and we had a
And
report last
Two
week.
less, but.
Yeah, we had a report last week that there was a gentleman that went out of Knifel with a John boat, flat bottom, and literally only had 6 inches below his boat.
Yeah,
To
I
get up.
believe that. That's probably the worst one up there.
Yep.
Low water's good for dredging, but not for access.
No.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important that we get moving on it as
Yeah.
soon as possible.
Well, and we had the application process moving fairly well ahead of the season. We knew this was gonna come. There are new people within that department that needed to review our applications with all the details that normally haven't had because it's been a repeat process.
Yeah.
So that took a little longer than normal. And then to get here to go through the bid process took a little longer than normal, so.
Okay, did you look into what was noticed in the paper on?
Yes, and we can't find anything, they were both noticed. We can't find one being noticed twice.
Okay.
I had Houston Engineering digging into that this morning, and they found the legal, one for Knifel, one for Kimball.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Boehm.
Yes.
Commissioner Herman.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Hey, any other business for the good of Burleigh County Park Board? Commissioners, anything else?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. I will adjourn the Burleigh County Park Board meeting, and I'll call the May 4th, 2026 meeting of the Burleigh County Commission to order. First item is roll call of members.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Thank you,
Commissioner
John.
Schwab.
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Here.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Chairman Bittner.
Here. The approval of the agenda, any changes, additions, subtractions, anything?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Consideration of April 20th, 26 meeting minutes and bills. Commissioners, I reviewed the bills. Only had one small concern with the bills, but I'll take that up with the Highway Department. Otherwise, I would request a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve meeting minutes and bills. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Not meaning to alarm the Highway Department because it's a very small thing. It's just, I guess I can just explain it. It looked to me like we have three kind of rural shops, and it just caught my attention that one of the shops has a substantially higher propane bill than the other two. And I thought I'd look into kind of why that is. So, the wing shop.
Wing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been there.
okay.
I can understand that.
You can? Okay, we'll talk about it later. It's not something that needs action, so. Okay, the public comment period is restricted to Burleigh County residents and landowners, and this would be for items that are, on the agenda and not on the agenda. We'll open it up for public comment. Does anybody wish to speak? Once again, this is public comment period. Does anybody wish to speak? Welcome. State your name for the record.
My name is Curtis Junt, Chair Bittner, Commissioners. Commissioner Schwab, make a note, this is my first time tonight. So to I know you keep track, so
I'm keeping
just in
track.
case someone questions it later.
No favoritism.
No favoritism, no good old boys club. Okay, these things are not on the agenda. I think you've all been paying attention to and listening, radio, news media, what's going on in Oliver Mercer County. We're all very familiar with what's gone on in Ellendale, Dickey County, Lemoore. I've been paying pretty good attention to that. And it's a matter of time before you're all going to be dealing with the same thing. I can just about guarantee you. And the issues that I keep hearing the residents, the landowners are really struggling with, it's no different than what we dealt with the CO2 pipeline. It's like deja vu all over again, Yogi Berra. I mean, it's the roads, it's the emergency response is not, where are they going to get the funds to deal with the huge data center, electrical, fire? I mean, it's a whole different animal than the house that just burned one street north of me on Saturday. That was a little moment of anxiety, hoping our tree row didn't start on fire, which wasn't too far away. So I think one of the things that's really been a problem, whether you're putting up 660-foot high wind towers in Morton County or a direct air capture that was proposed in 24 in Morton County, or you're coming at a county with AI data centers, I think one of the things that I find extremely tragic is that the landowners stand up and say, we have a right, we have a right, we have a right. Not going to argue that they don't have a right to sell their land or lease their land. But what's lost in all this is what's lost in our society today, unlike what I experienced in the 60s and even the 70s, where we actually gave a crap about our neighbors. The people that are left living around all of these tenements are the ones that are really suffering. A lot of these people are selling their land, like what I heard with the director of capture in Morton County, and they're moving. Grandpa and grandma are moving, they're taking the money, a lot of absentee owners. And one of the things I'd like anyone listening today and this commission to think about is maybe it's time that we need, instead of down in St. Anthony getting 20,000 an acre and becoming instant gazillionaires, and then your kids and the grandkids too, maybe 30%, a third, or half of that money needs to be held back. And whether it's a wind park, an AI data center, and this tenement that's trying to be proposed up in Oliver Mercer County and even Morton County, that's going to involve a hyper natural gas fired generation and hyper 6 gigawatt data center and wind tower and solar and this whole energy AI data center whoop-de-doo. The people that are going to sell out are probably going to move to Bismarck. They're instant millionaires. What about the people that are left? So a chunk of that money needs to be reserved, and if it's something like that, it's not hard to determine within a radius. That money should be used as payments for the people that are living there and that are going to have to deal with the construction and all the BS and the noise and all the other things that go with having something as your neighbor, like a wind park. There should be a radius within the 660-foot tip of blade to base and those wind towers that Minn Kota wants to build in Morton County. Those people that are left living there should get some damage payments. So I think the whole system is broken. I think that's why there's so much pushback, is you're having your neighbors sell out and they don't care, it's our right. And the people that have to live with this garbage, and a lot of it is garbage. Direct air capture, wind towers, that's garbage. That makes no economic sense. And now we've got AA data centers. Just like the CO2 pipeline, the sense of urgency and the push is all by design. We got to get this done, get it permitted, get it in before the citizens start waking up. You guys, I find to be very, I find that you've really been accommodating to people standing up here. You listen, you've tried to come up with solutions. This is going to be your next battle coming at you, mark my word. Whether it's going to be built by the new Love's truck stop out here, I'm not sure why that got stuck way out there, but there's got to be something going on. There's got to be a reason that that's out there and something coming. But I just want you guys to really be paying attention to what's and going on in Oliver Mercer County, because, man, it's a crap show, and it's awful. Another thing I want to bring up is tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo Day, we have the Burleigh County Candidate Forum at 6 o'clock p.m. at the library. And so I'm encouraging Burleigh County residents to go listen to what candidates have to say. We know where you two guys stand, but I know you're going to be there, but I know where you stand. So you don't make any bones about it. So I'm okay with you not being there because I know where you stand. I like how you call a spade, so.
Well, I'm afraid that if I go there, I'm gonna get into it with Darrell East.
Okay,
for
well,
running down the county, so is he gonna be asking questions?
I think Dustin's going to moderate it.
Because he's
but-
an idiot.
Okay.
I don't like people that run down the county constantly on the
I don't
radio.
either. I don't either.
All the way out to Wisconsin.
I don't either, and I've done my darndest to try to help throw water on that too, because I'm not happy about it. I was raised in this county. There's 53 counties in North Dakota. That's radio stations heard in 5 states and 2 Canadian provinces, and I just think there's, well, Oliver Mercer County now and Morton. There's other counties to beat up on besides Burleigh County.
I think Ward would be a good start.
Yeah,
You know, with the-
really. They got a
the
lot of
fire chief
shenanigans
up
going
there
on
and the
up there.
mayor, but you never hear anything about that.
Yeah, they have a mayor that's like Anthony Weiner, so doing the same thing.
I may surprise you and show up just to get a
Well,
little action up
that would be interesting. Well, we're going to be bringing popcorn, so I think that'd be great if you showed up. So, we might bring extra, because it might be worthwhile.
I'm
gonna sit in the
I'm
back
gonna
of the room.
bring Jerry as an
Okay, we gotta
advisor.
move on, guys.
Okay, anyway, another thing I want to bring up is, in February, we saw the weather, spring weather in February, what it did to the ditches. We all know, you've been driving around, you've heard about what it's done to the roads out in the subdivisions. So I think another thing needs to be on the agenda, and I know it already is, in your minds, because you've been having to deal with the destruction of our paved roads out there, is I think we might need to start looking at one trash truck per subdivision, do bids or something, but this having, I mean, there's 5 passes in front of my house every Thursday, so, there's gotta be a solution to that too. We need our trash trucks, they're a valuable service, but we can't have every few years, or it could be even every year, causing tens of millions of dollars worth of road damage, so we're gonna have to come up with a solution, just like the ditches, you guys. They're torn to hell just for the same reason the ditches got torn to hell, and that's because we had March, April temperatures in February. Anyway, that's all I have. May the 4th be with you in dealing with everything you deal with.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it. Anybody else wish to speak? This is a public comment period. Anybody else wish to speak?
Good evening. My name is Mike Carlson, Chairman Bidner, Commissioners. We've had a seriously hot topic the last few months. Obviously, there's still no end to it. However, one thing that decisions based on property, private property, public property, vehicle usage, anything with wheels was the subject of all this discussion. I continually heard, well, nothing ever happens with snowmobiles, nothing, blah, 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 clubs and whatnot. So if we're banning things based on temperatures, weather, why are we not looking at snowmobiles? So in the week leading up to Easter weekend, that week, most of Burleigh County got nearly a foot of snow. Great, after the warm temperature we had in February, one last hurrah for snowmobiles. Well, the ground was not frozen, so now we have snowmobiles out here, and we have tracks. I have pictures of Burleigh County, and people that say that snowmobiles don't cause any damage, let's look at this.
Yeah, just push a bunch of buttons.
Okay, that picture is a private driveway in south of Bismarck, outside the city limits. Those tracks are from a snowmobile. This is taken on April 3rd, after the snow. You can see that those lines here and here are from the carbides, and you can see these little marks right here. Those are from the picks in the track. I'm not representing this guy. I'm not representing this landowner. I just saw this damage. I was driving around looking for this. This is an alfalfa field. This is east of Bismarck. You tell me how fast that snowmobile was going to spray dirt in this way out here outside of this track as he's turning right. Again, according to Onyx, powered by the Game and Fish Department, this land is posted. I don't know if that was the landowner or not. I'm not representing this landowner. But this came right out of the ditch and right into this alfalfa field. Same thing right here. This comes off an approach in the ditch. That paddle track went right through the snow, right down to the unfrozen ground, and that's what happens. Tear up the ground. And for anybody that disagrees with, who's causing this? That guy right there. This is north of Bismarck too. Wind, drift, that people were, you can see there's all sorts of tracks. It wasn't just that guy. But there was a big drift along this, whatever pile of stuff that was or whatever. Fun, attractive, right? All this land, according to Onyx, is posted, no trespassing. These guys are trespassing. So as we ban people from using ditches, whatnot, based on weather, on Saturday, I pulled up in the gas station with my side-by-side. The guy tells me that I can't be riding it because they've been banned. So there's zero communication from this commission that clearly states what you guys have decided, okay? The words wheeled vehicle. So from December 1st to May 15th, can my side-by-side now identify as a snowmobile? Because it doesn't have wheels on it any longer. No clear answer. Four-wheelers have the same option, put tracks on them, same kind of tracks as a snowmobile. And yes, you can even do that with your motorcycles. Timber sled conversion kits. There's just a lot of inconsistency in verbiage. I get that we're trying to prevent damage, trying to fix damage. Still haven't heard any kind of numbers on how much money that Burleigh County receives from the sales tax and from registration, and what that money has been used for the past couple of decades. Nobody seems to know. As a taxpayer, that alarms me, because if you don't know where that money's coming from, how do we know what's what and where's that money coming from and where's it going? There's no accountability for those funds. People saying that it gets lumped into the general fund. I guarantee you, somebody somewhere knows how much money Burleigh County and every 53 counties in North Dakota is getting from tax money and from vehicle registration. So we're looking for ways to fix ditches. I think we've been contributing to that fund for 20 plus years. There's money out there. I get there's damage, but it's not all from wheeled vehicles. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Yep. Appreciate it. Anybody else wish to speak?
Public comment or hearing?
You know,
Kinda went right
we
into
got
the
we
other.
got like sideways on that. That wasn't supposed to happen, right?
But it did.
But it did, and you know that's the next item on the agenda, regardless here. We're real close.
Let's just finish our public and then we can go.
Yeah, you mind just wait. It'll only be brief. We're going to get through the consent agenda, and right away we're going to be into the public hearing. So I understand everybody's going to want to jump in on that one. So any other public comments that are not related to the OHV ordinance discussion?
Take your pen. I don't want to. I told the sheriff.
Sheriff will get you.
I told him I was.
Only hurts for a little while when he tackles you for the pen.
You wear the taser.
Okay, I'm going to close the public comment period and move ahead to the consent agenda. Commissioners, anything you want to pull off there for discussion, or what are your wishes?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion is second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, we're going to continue the public hearing and comments and input on this OHV ordinance. Now would be a time to,
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcox.
one comment before we get started. Under definitions of our ordinance, this takes care of the previous gentleman's problem. Exhibition driving means driving a vehicle in a manner which serves a piece of cause, and number 3, off-highway vehicle means any motorized vehicle not designed for use on a highway or capable cross-country travel of lands, snow, ice, marsh, swampland, and other natural terrain. The term means a motorized vehicle converted to operate on snow. The term does not include an electric bike. An off-highway vehicle must be classified into one of the following categories. Then it goes on to define each category, and I think what he was talking about, other than snowmobiles, is covered under those terms.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Go ahead. State your name for the record. even though
Sure.
we know you.
Yep, Brian Fettig. Chair Bittner, Commissioners, I couldn't make the last meeting. A lot of this is follow-up to what I heard, and I'm just kind of looking for some clarity and explanation, whatnot. So let me begin. There's 1,700 miles of road ditch in Burleigh County. Of these 1,700 miles, the County Highway Department identified 39 with significant damage. This is only 2% of the county ditches, but it's this 2% that is 99% of the problems for this county. Safety, liability, nuisance, damage, everything is amplified in these urban residential areas around Bismarck. This commission discussed at the last meeting about being able to prohibit the use in the ETA area only, or does it have to be all or none? We were told all or none with no explanation. So Burleigh County is already prohibiting OHVs from using shared use paths along 43rd Avenue from Centennial to Roosevelt and along South Washington to Sibley Park. These are new, very nice paths placed directly in county right-of-way, posted with signs stating no motor vehicles. The county is prohibiting OHVs from traveling across this 8 to 10 foot path wide that's in county right-of-way under county jurisdiction today. How can we do that? If you're saying this is legal, you're now telling me that the county can place a paved strip in the ditch and prohibit OHV access, but a private person who places a private driveway into their property can't restrict OHV access across it. You heard of the constant repairs and expense that's endured by these property owners who are constantly fixing their private driveway, but now the county can place this in their right-of-way and actually not allow any motorized vehicles to use these paths. Furthermore, I find it personally suspicious that when we went down this path of creating an ordinance, this is what's in that packet today. When we talk about right-of-way, look at that very last sentence that's highlighted in pink, and includes approaches or driveways into private property. I haven't seen that definition specifically called out in state law or other laws or rules, but somehow out of all the language, that's the part that made it into our ordinance, which to me, that just seems kind of suspicious. All right, so now we're placing these paths. So let's say we can now ban OHVs on these paths, but yet they're placed in the county right-of-way. So we're now putting them smack in the middle of off-road vehicle traffic operating in county right-of-way. So basically, that area between that road, this is on South Washington to Sibley, and that motorized path is for OHV traffic, and the path is adjacent to it. Same with 43rd Avenue. These ADA compliant paths are supposed to be physically separated or have a barrier between them and vehicle traffic, including OHVs. Think about people walking their dogs or going for a jog that have ear pods in, may not realize an OHV is coming up behind them. It's a disaster waiting to happen. That's the core of this problem. This 2% area around Bismarck is urbanized. These are highly conflicted areas. Until the county shuts down OHVs or motorized whatever in these problem spots, commissions for generations to come will still be dealing with this. Pennington County Commission, which includes Rapid City, South Dakota, began posting and closing their ditches some 20 years ago per their ordinance. You create a map only this commission can amend or make changes to. You post it online, you place signs, whatever you need to do. We have future road maps, we have future land use maps, Parks and Rec maintains a trail map. There's so many maps out there. Why wouldn't you think about operating, you wouldn't even think about operating an OHV in South Dakota without referencing a map. Why should it be any different here? If we can't do this, please explain to the public why. Years of effort have been put into this home rule charter, drafting ordinances only to be told you can regulate, and then legislatively with the House Bill 1346, now it came down to this. We're told it is all or none. That has never been the intent. Please vote no on this ordinance. Come back with an ordinance that includes an attached map showing where OHVs are off limits. It's simple, clear, enforceable, and the only thing that will move the needle on this issue. Again, we're just talking about 2% of the county ditches that need to be off limits to solve 99% of all of our problems. Thank you for trying to get this right. Future commissions will definitely thank you for that. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Brian? No, thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else wish to speak on this subject? Once again, anybody else wish to speak on this subject?
Good evening, Commissioners, Chair Bittner. I am Tom Fedek. I'm first time up here. I've been asked by several people why I haven't attended these meetings, and I can only tell you that I had a major procedure done at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, and I've been watching your meetings on TV, and I've seen several people up here 2-3 times at a meeting, but I really appreciate you let me voice my opinion, being my wife and I, Burleigh County resident, taxpayer for 34 years. We bought 40 acres on North 52nd Street 34 years ago, and we put a bunch of trees up, 2 buildings, a new home, and took a lot of pride in our place. Got the mail one day, got a letter in the mailbox. Congratulations, Tom and Kim. You have just won the Farm Tree Care Award for the nicest farmstead in Burleigh County. I wonder how many people can say that. That's how much pride we took. But over the years, before I get to that, we own a side-by-side. And we got a 3-wheeler or a 4-wheeler, side-by-side 4. All my kids do. My son-in-law's got a new Can-Am. They're up to $50,000, and I'm sure these new open road Honda, they got to be $10,000, $20,000 for some of these dirt bikes. But anyway, we use them for cattle, fencing, spraying, that kind of stuff. the ranchers, the farmers, the ranchers, the people that live in town that do snow removal, absolutely are exempt. Absolutely. I know of my brothers down south in Burleigh County, Emmons County, they got 2 of each for farming. But anyway, getting back to this, these dirt bikes keep coming up the road, back and forth, and side by sides. And the first thing that I see, they give me the middle finger. I put up with that for years. It's a middle finger, all right? So what do? I call dispatch. I call 911. I have called them over the years, and I know there's a record. Julie Lawyer knows. 2-3 times a day, sometimes 2-3 times a week. And you know what? I'll give you 2 examples. You know what dispatch tells me? First, get a license plate number. Get a license plate number. I have tried getting a license plate number going down a section line on 57th Avenue before the county built it up between 52nd Street and 66th Street. And as soon as they got Jim and Nadine Silverknuckles cropland, which I rented 199 acres before the school went in, and Chad Wachter with that Silver Ranch development, they scattered. What it's like is if you take your pickup and go after 2 deer, try to catch them. Impossible. Here, couldn't get a license plate number. Another time dispatch told me, well, keep a track where they're going. Up north to the gun club, north of Bismarck, they got on Fisher's cropland. Lost them. Can't do it. So, I have seen a lady up here, and I know the Reese family down at Apple Creek. They have a beautiful, gorgeous place. It's nicer than anything I've ever had. She said that they got an approach in a driveway where these OHVs love to jump and go over, and she managed to run them down. And she had a talk with them. Good for her. She didn't like the destruction and the damage in the ditches and approaches either. Now, Apple Creek, south of Bismarck, and Chairman Bittner knows, up to the gun club, how far is that? That's got to be 20, 30 miles. I keep hearing a handful of bad apples. Do you, Commission, know there's hundreds of these guys, and half of them are adults. These radical, out of control, underage kids, I've seen it for years and years and years, and so has Bittner, I'm sure. It's more than 5, 10. It's more than a handful. If you, commissioners, don't live north of Bismarck or south of, other than Chairman Bittner, you guys haven't got a clue how bad this is getting and how dangerous it's getting. The other thing is education. Do you once think these parents are going to sit at a classroom with their kids and they're going to be instructed not to jump approach or tear up private property or county property? If that happens, they'll never drive another OHV. They ain't going to drive. That's no fun just to drive like they should drive them. If they can't jump ditches or tear everything up, they ain't going to listen to that. The other thing is, Chairman Bittner would know this better than me. When Peluso sat in here, and Becky Matthews, I hope she's up in heaven, they kept saying the county can't do anything about this until they get a home rule charter. Well, guess what? The home rule charter got on the ballot. Burleigh County residents voted for it. It passed. Okay? Passed. Now the legislature passed some too, and I'm not up to that. I mean, I'm not a Facebook person. I don't know how to text. I don't do that kind of stuff. But now I feel like this board can help us. Us landowners out there are suffering for years and years, and it's getting worse. These little three-wheelers, Honda three-wheelers with the tires like an inner tube, nowadays, every year dirt bikes and side-by-sides get faster, they get more powerful, they tear up more damage quicker, no more dirt. But anyway, I'm sorry if I'm losing my train of thought here. But there was a Kathy, I think it was, she said she always blew her air horn. If I don't know, correct me, Chairman Bittner, when she tried distracting these radicals. But anyway, I hear about a $250 fine. Do you guys realize what the price of gas is right now and diesel fuel? They'll burn that $250 fine up on a Friday and Saturday, jumping ditches and approaches. They'll spend that for gas. $250 fine. I mean, that's nothing. That's nothing. I've heard residents up here, well, if you ban it, our kids are going to get on drugs. I'll tell you how you fix that. You know how you fix it? You take about $360,000 to $600,000 and you buy yourself 40 acres. You have 50 cows. You have 20 horses. You make 500 round bales a year, and you have your kids do chores in the morning before they go to school, and when they get home at night, and on weekends, you give them a shovel and clean the barn out with it, clean the manure out of the barn. And I guarantee you, you don't have to worry about drugs, because you know what? I did that. That's a guarantee. If you want to worry about drugs, just go ahead and buy yourself 40 acres, and then they can turn around and tear up their 40 acres, okay? As far as landowners, do what some of them do on 80th Street and 52nd Street and South 80th Street. Get yourself a licensed surveyor and put a 5-row, 2-inch pipe fence up, weld it onto 4-inch pipe permanently. That is the only way you're gonna keep these guys off your land. It's not the county's land, it's not anybody's land but the property owner's land. That's the only way you're gonna keep them off. If some of them fences wouldn't have went up, they would be going underneath basketball hoops right now, because when I was on 52nd Street, they were going in between my tree rows. It was that bad. All right, 71st Avenue. You know, it really needed that work. Commissioner Schwab, I think you had the street department portfolio. By the way, thanks a lot for what you do for weed control. You have a hell of a weed board officer, that Darren, very knowledgeable, really do appreciate it. For Wormwood, trying to control the wormwood and the weeds out there, and I've talked to you about that.
Thank you. I'm going to remind Daryl East tomorrow night of that.
Anyways, 71st Avenue, I was told this county spent $3 million a mile. You know what? I drive that road every day. You see all the ruts and the tracks, you might as well take a plow and plow it up. What about the straw rolls for erosion control and the seed? And then you got the landscaping for the inslope. You know, you can't even ride a horse down 71st Avenue. They'd sprain their leg. I mean, it's horrible. It's bad. The other thing is, yeah, some of them straw rolls, they look like they put them through a shredder. The way they go through there with side-by-sides and four-wheelers, it's unbelievable. I see it. The other thing, April 20th, the last meeting here, right here. April 20th, I like to put this up there. I don't know how to use a projector, but I'll try. April 22nd, 2 days after that meeting, I went down 52nd Street. These guys were coming up from 43rd Avenue on 52nd Street on the west side. It was a fire ban. It was a full-blown fire ban. And so my wife, we called 911 dispatch. We did. They answered. Well, we'll see. That's the other thing. I have never seen Burleigh County cops stop one of these radicals. But for some reason, the deputy officer got back to my wife, said, yeah, they did talk to him. They talked to him. Get this, they talked to him. They said they weren't aware of the fire ban. So we asked, well, what did you do? We just warned them. So you're saying if I burn my garbage and we have a fire out to Sterling and I get questioned, I'm not aware of a fire ban. So I just get a warning then? Is that the deal? A warning. This one here. Here's another one. This was 2 days after a meeting. Going across 57th Avenue. I was coming up 52nd Street. He was going across. He was going so fast he couldn't stay in the seat. He was standing up at times. I watched him. Fire ban. Here. All right, let me see. The other thing is, us landowners, we take a lot of money, a lot of pride. I shame myself if things are out of place. What is the land worth when you have nothing but noise at night? You might also move down by the airport and listen to the jets. What's your land worth? I mean, who's going to buy it when everything's torn to shit in front of your house? Who's going to buy that? The land, we're paying taxes. Here. Yeah. I mean, to do it right, I know of a lot of guys, we should go right back to these OHV riders, go on their land, go on their lawn, go on their, it's private property, go in the ditches, start tearing it up. Just, why not? You guys did it to us. I got a neighbor and a good friend of mine, he was up here. You guys wouldn't believe it. And that's right north. That's on 52nd Street. He was mowing right off coming down the ditch. If he would have turned just a little more, he would have had a dirt bike on his back. I've got a first cousin down in Emmons County, Lytton, North Dakota. 13-year-old little boy. He jumped approach, broke his neck. I went to that funeral. He was a donor. Church was so full, there was standing room out, a sidewalk by the street. Every one of these guys should have been to that funeral. Broke his neck. These dirt bikes, and they're worse than a rodeo bronc. They're fast. It's terrible. I only got a couple more things here. My suggestion to fix this, and the only way to fix it, a 5-mile ban, completely ban with a $5,000 fine. And then I'm not so sure. Because look what these things cost. Look what their outfits cost. That'll help, but absolutely no farmers, no ranchers, people that live in town with side-by-side snow removal, spraying, whatever have you. I'm talking, and it's more than a handful, by the way. It's as many adults as it is these out-of-control, radical juveniles. It is. I see them drive. I want to comment Kurt Junt. There should be 100 of these guys at every meeting right here. He's right. I drove Shoal Drive up there where that house burned down. If this keeps up with this heavy equipment, they're going to condemn that road. These residents, and they got beautiful houses up there. The water table's so high, alkali. Why not put a bid out to all garbage companies? And whoever's got the lowest bid, just have one garbage truck out there. I worked for the city for 28 years. And by the way, thank you, Commissioner Bakken. When you were the mayor for the city of Bismarck, you took your own time off and you came to our award ceremony. And you shook my hand and you congratulated me for 28 years of service. And I have talked to Chairman Bittner for years and years and years on this OHV deal. He's fought the fight. He's tried. We have to do something here. I've talked to each and every one of you. We have to, you have to. And then the other thing is, for the record, my place, my son's places, is very highly surrounded with high-powered military-grade cameras. So I want that to be on the record. And the threats that I get on social media that I hear from other people, that's all documented by a professional, okay? So this hee-hawing around, you guys have to do something. These next to open road Honda, they're gonna have faster ones. Faster, bigger and better. I've been there, I've done it. I know how bad it is, and so does he. So does Chairman. So I stand you for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions from Mr. Fettig? Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Good job. Anybody else wish to speak?
Just have one thing I have to say here. Again, it's Curtis Junt. Commissioner Schwab, can you mark me down for number 2, please?
I was just gonna say, that's number 2.
Okay, number 2.
Lump of coal for you.
I know that's my limit, so,
2 is your limit? Did you say 2 is your limit?
two a night, I guess, is a limit, according to some fake book people that post. By the way, Tom, I'm in the same camp. I tell people I don't want to hear them, don't send them to me. Consider the source. And I too have a slew of cameras surrounding our place, so have for years. And I added, when I started standing up here to talk about CO2 pipeline and Summit, I doubled my camera quality and view. So what you heard Tom say here very passionately is somebody who has been impacted, like so many landowners that got up here, where it's actually a negative impact and an expense. When you get the OHV guys up here, you're taking away their fun. And that fun comes with, yes, I own all the stuff you've heard, side-by-side, ATV, snow. By the way, I just announced to some friends last week, I'm selling my snowmobile and I'm done with that. It hasn't been in the snow for 3 years. I bought it brand new, Arctic Cat, 4-stroke, December of 2001. Anybody want to guess how many miles are on that? I finally waved the white flag. 450. Okay, that snowstorm he talked about, when we took off on 71st Avenue over to Centennial and I saw that little red snowmobile sled, I shook my head. Slushy, sloppy. Yeah, when you ride like that. So by the way, Mike, I get your point, and I'm not representing any snowmobile anything anymore. I'm done with that. I don't ride my ATV and UHV off-road. Too fussy, don't want to get it dirty. Anybody that knows me knows that's a fact. Even if I did, I wouldn't be tearing up someone else's property. I would ride around my lot and tear up my own property. But if you guys want to put tracks on your UTVs and ATVs and dirt bikes and ride on top of the snow, I don't think you're going to cause the damage that was caused in February by wheeled vehicles. So I just, the solution, I've stood up here to talk about solutions. I think the idea of giving the 39 miles torn up ditches a break and figure out how to repair some of the really bad rutted areas and let the others heal is not a bad idea. So I think, maybe moving this OHV riding beyond the urban developed subdivisions is not a bad idea. I mean, I'm talking no riding in those. Give those 39 miles a chance to heal. Move don't do a countywide ban. Move it out. Your home rule charter should allow you to do that, and House Bill, whatever, Senate Bill 1346 should allow you to do that. I think it's reasonable, it's prudent. Give those, you don't have the residents and the travel. I've nearly hit a dirt bike twice in the last 3 years, popping up out of the ditch as I was crossing 71st. Get those OHV riders beyond the urban areas, give our 39 miles a chance to heal, and Burleigh County still needs to figure out how to repair some of the 6-8 inch ruts along Centennial, 52nd Avenue, 71st Avenue, but give them a chance to heal. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt. Okay, does anybody else wish to speak on this item? Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Cindy Meidinger. I live in Apple Creek Township. Hello, guys.
Hello, Cindy.
I have some complaints and concerns. I live in Glaser subdivision. It's a small little subdivision. And we have little kids riding in the ditches, driving like they're insane. I feel that part of the problem, am I yelling? I sound really loud.
Good, fine.
We're
okay.
used to it.
Okay, so anyway, I don't know if this really can be fixed. In the first place, I feel parents are not sharing in the responsibility of guiding their kids. They give them, I'm going to show my age, a mini bike, and they drive it wherever they want. And I don't even think they know the rules of the road. Back when I was little, we had to have a license on our bike to ride on the street. We had to learn the rules of the road, or you couldn't ride your bike. And I think that's one of the issues that needs to be handled here. Each one of these need to have a license plate on them, so if you catch them, see them, you can take your number down, they can be reported. And then the parents will have to suffer the consequences for their irresponsibility of not teaching their kid right from wrong. And, oh no, I forgot my train of thought. I'm sorry. I saw in my subdivision, there's a gentleman out there that has the big 2-seater thing. And the other morning I looked out my window and here he is. He's making a U-ey, throwing up gravel and stuff on a T intersection in our subdivision. And he has a couple of kids, and those kids are just like their dad. They have no regard for anything. Our speed limit is posted in the subdivision at 30 miles an hour. And I know these kids, they're driving on the road, and I know they're driving way faster than 30 miles an hour. So we can't fix stupid, but we have to figure out a way to make somebody responsible. Parents, first off, if their kid is doing something wrong, they need to be charged or whatever. And by doing the keeping the Bismarck area and no ditch travel and letting it go out into the country further, that's not going to fix anything. That's just going to kick the can down the road, and it's going to be somebody else's problem. It needs to be county-wide. You can't ride in the ditches unless you know what. You have a driver's, or not a driver's license, but you have a license, you know the rules of the road, you have a responsible parent willing to stand up and say, okay, my kid, you have to do this. If you can't follow the rules, then you can't have the vehicle. And I'm done, sorry.
Commissioners, any questions for Cindy? Thanks for coming up, I appreciate it.
Thank
Long
you.
time no see.
Yeah, really.
Good evening, Commissioners and Chairman Bittner. I wasn't going to talk, but I kept hearing Open Road Honda, so I felt compelled.
All of them, she's the only one that got mentioned.
So good advertising. So my name is Annette Beam Caldwell, and my husband Dusty and I do own Open Road
I
Honda.
thought any publicity was good publicity. Sorry about that.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I've attended more of these meetings this last half year than I have in my entire life. I think what it's showing us is this is a complicated issue, and there's no one simple solution. But what I've learned is that there's more commonality between, we'll call it both sides. I feel for the landowners, and I understand their rights to protect their property. I understand those who enjoy OHV riding. But if you don't, like the gentleman talked about, well, he was standing up. Well, that's how you ride a dirt bike. You don't sit on the seat, you stand. So it's just getting together and building up that sense of knowledge. I believe that there are solutions, but I don't think I think the fact that this ordinance keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back has showed us that we need to take a step back and let's form a group of landowners, OHV enthusiasts, the dealers. Let's come together to be able to research some of these possible solutions. Part of the problem I'm seeing is we come up with solutions, but then we got to check with the attorney, the state's attorney, to see if that's legal. And we're waiting for, but if we could just step back for a second, because there's a lot of good ideas, and work through them as a group methodically and carefully and come up with some solutions. I feel like just, we've tried a couple of Band-Aids and they're not going to work. But I will tell you that on behalf of Open Road Honda, on behalf of the dealers, we are committed to finding solutions. Because this isn't good for anyone. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Annette?
No.
Thanks, Annette. Anybody else wish to speak?
My name is Michelle Junt, and I think that we have been babying these riders for a very long time, and we really need to be strong here and stand up, have a backbone, and do something about it. We need to give them pretty hefty fines, and before something else happens. I mean, there's fires out there. They're not going to be responsible, and maybe when they're stopped, give them a ticket and maybe call their parents. Have them sit in the back seat until the parents come up and get their kid and take them home. Something needs to be done about it. And I don't think we should be nice about this. I think it needs to get done as soon as possible, starting today. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Anybody else wish to speak? Okay. We'll close that portion of the public hearing. Commissioners, at our last meeting, we were having a discussion concerning some additional language and some possible changes. And I think there was comments about trying to get together with the state's attorney, and I wonder if anything has happened or if we're still stuck in the mud.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Munson.
Section 5 is the language that the state's attorney has given us her opinion as far as the temporary restrictions of off-highway vehicle operation during certain conditions. She didn't list wet or dry, she just listed certain conditions. And this gives the Burleigh County Commission, upon vote of the county board, a 7-day time period where OHV operations will halt. I read through this quite a bit. I like it.
Wait a minute here. Then the commission would have to have special meetings to extend this, which makes no sense.
We do the same thing for fire bans, not this year because we've done it differently, but last year we held a special meeting to restrict fires in Burleigh County.
Yeah,
Same purpose.
I realize that, but what I'm getting at here, the restrictions may not be continued or renewed for a period in excess of 7 days. Well, if we get rain like we got last year,
Let's
we're
pray we
not
get
gonna
rain like
wanna
we got
let
last year.
anybody in them ditches for months. And then we're gonna have to renew this every so often?
That was the language the state's attorney recommended.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in on that a little bit. Commissioners, I think I've made it very clear, and I can't make it any more clear, that one of the things we actually do as a company is we build recreational trails. And I'm telling you, and I've told you before, it is not about mud in the ditch, and it's not about adverse weather conditions. The constant wear and tear from any vehicles makes the dirt go away. It blows away in the wind, and if you do get some rain, it washes away. Every time something touches that dirt, once the grass is pounded down, it powders up the dirt, and it's gone. This is all Band-Aid BS. There's nothing is working here. Now, let's raise the fines, and I'm okay. We can't catch them. We're not prosecuting as it is. Because I talked to the sheriff's department, and I agreed with the idea of giving people some warnings here with this new, nobody knew that off-highway travel, people knew, but nobody understood it, that off-highway travel has been restricted forever under a fire ban. People seem to think that we were adding that. We were not adding anything. That's been there forever, ever since we've started using it.
Correct.
And there's a reason for that. I was looking just this weekend, something on our, I don't know if it was on our website or somebody else's, but there was something on the order of 7 different fires in Burleigh County this past weekend. That's a big deal. You get wind like today. Now, commissioners, it's beyond time to do something about it, and I think we're just kicking the can down the road. It's real nice to talk and go, well, we can get some groups together and we can come up with some solutions. Nobody has come up with any solutions yet. The increased fines and whatnot, since we don't catch the guys and we don't prosecute, what good is that gonna do us? Yeah, we just sit here and go shrug?
Well,
We're just gonna shrug about it and go, well, we're trying to do something. No, we're not.
My question, Chair, is within the first 2 weeks of me being sworn in at this spot, that was my first phone call on issues within the right-of-ways. I brought that to the Highway Department. I was told, we don't have the money, we don't have the manpower, we can't do nothing about it. I brought it to this table 3.5 years ago, and absolutely nothing has been done since.
Well, you might remember that I'm the one that built trails out here at the fairgrounds probably 15 years ago, so don't talk to me about nothing having been done.
But nothing in our road right-of-ways have been fixed since I moved here in 2001. And for a group of people to actually take the time now to attempt to get grants so that we can build trails, so that we can fix the ditches, so that we can do something.
That has nothing to do, Commissioner.
Well,
That is years down the road. Years.
correct. And if we
That
don't
has
start now.
nothing to do with the repairs, and there was talk about, you heard somebody refer to let the ditches heal. They don't heal.
No.
They don't heal.
No.
We have wagon trails from back in the 1800s that are still visible in pastures all around Burleigh County. That does not heal. And if you don't take, and furthermore, the money that they're after for the recreational trail program does not pay for repairs or maintenance on trails. It pays for constructing trails, assuming you're able to get easements from the landowners for a trail. That's the hitch in that whole giddy-up, because you got landowners out here. They're totally upset, and I understand, you hear it. They're totally upset about people tearing up those ditches. Do you think any one of those landowners is going to give an easement for a trail in front of their place? No. Not a chance. So basically, we're kicking it down the road. We're not going to do anything about it anyway. So why don't we just say one way or the other? We're either going to fix it or we're not.
We haven't fixed it for 21 years. Why do we start now?
Well, you're up for election, I guess, so why would we start now, huh?
But that's what I've been trying to do for the last year.
Commissioner Schwab.
The whole problem here, it's number one, It isn't a few bad apples. I brought that up.
Yeah.
I was up week before last. After that snow, I got called to go up north. And there were plenty of them in the ditch. And some of them kids couldn't have been over 12 years old. Now, the sheriff did stop and talk to a couple of them, but he said there's no direction. And the reason there's no direction is now it's been suggested, well, get a committee, landowners. Why wasn't that done way back when they knew it was coming? It's just another delay tactic. We don't need a committee. We need to make a decision. And I've always had problems with this. Well, let's throw a committee together, this, and nothing gets done. If we can't make a decision, we should move on.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcox?
this ordinance we're working on right now, you don't think that does any good?
No.
You don't think it does any good?
No.
What if we had enforcement behind this issue?
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem, Commissioner. We've had enforcement. Our guys we're out there every day enforcing law and order issues. But you know, this is pretty low-hanging fruit. When these guys have got to worry about, daylight robberies, traffic accidents, and, people dying and all manner of things that they actually deal with, warrants and drugs and everything else. You think that, how much time do we want them spending? We've had conversations about, well, we could pay them some overtime and get, 3-4 hours a week out there for more enforcement. Go ahead, Commissioner.
But don't you think if we don't pass this ordinance and we don't do anything, we're sticking our head in the sand, just like you said we've done forever? This at least is a start. We can amend this, we can add on to it, we can try enforcement, we can try and find money to add additional patrols so we can enforce it. I'd like to see somebody take somebody to court, and not only the fine, but for us to sit here and do nothing is doing nothing. It really is.
Well, I agree with you 100%. If you stop that activity within a certain distance of Bismarck,
Yes, there you go.
just stop it. Then we can worry about solutions, because you hold people's feet to the fire. If you're just going to say, the only thing that I'm aware of that's actually changed is we upped the penalties here. And now there's temporary restrictions on off-highway during certain conditions, which is, like I explained already, that is not the problem. The problem exists whether it's wet or dry. And I saw a Facebook page where some of the people were trying to round up the troops to oppose this effort on the ATVs and OHVs. And the picture that they used on their own thing shows this giant dust cloud following that machine along. That's what I'm talking about. Dirt goes away. And so basically we're doing nothing. Now,
I don't agree with that.
I disagree too.
what? What are we doing?
Well, we've done
What are we
this.
enforcing, Commissioner?
We've done this for a couple, 3 years, trying to get an ordinance. We have an ordinance in place. We went through this whole process a year and a half or whatever.
What have we
ago,
changed?
And we can't enforce it. That was why I said that before many times. Enforcement is the issue. Now we've got this ordinance is better in that it explains exactly what vehicles are involved. It does, right? Black and white. It also puts on some restrictions on time. We didn't have any restrictions on it at all. This puts a ban on it in certain times. So it's a step forward. It really is. And to put a ban on.
Yeah, that's just lipstick on a pig, Commissioner. That's all.
Well, then do we do nothing and do nothing?
Sure. No, Commissioner.
Well,
Bakken.
no. Well, what's the other?
Commissioner Bakken.
Again, it's another Band-Aid, but, the simple solution is being able to put some boundaries on that. And Julie, we're looking for some clarification, and last time was like, there wasn't any, that we can't just go, here's the fence, and you can't ride in this area, right?
That would be like the legislature adopting a crime and saying it only applies to Burleigh County.
Right. So do we need to have conversations with the legislature again?
Once again, you don't get to arbitrarily just pick a location and say the law applies here.
So, because that's the simple solution. Here, 5 miles out, or whatever.
Well,
unless you're on
I'm
the
hearing
established
some,
trail, but
I'm hearing some rumblings from the audience that's asking about, what about the trails that have the signs that say no motorized vehicles? I know the
So my
answer.
understanding of those is those are specifically walking paths, and we don't want vehicles driving on the walking path. And those are specific areas that were built for walking, jogging, riding bike, for specific purpose.
Park district trails.
Correct.
I saw
They're
a
not fun
road
anyway
up at,
because-
Commissioner
I
Schwab.
saw a road up at the Ponderosa. And coming back, they had no motorized vehicles, there was no trail down there. So, what you say and what's being done are two different things. But I mean, about every quarter mile, no more motorized vehicles, but there was no trail in there for people that were walking or any path.
You want to bet a nickel? I don't think there's an ordinance that allows for those signs to be there at all. I don't think there's anything in the century code that allows for those signs to be there.
would it be part of a covenant?
Couldn't be, it's in a public right of way.
I mean, barring that, the other simple solution would have been if the legislature would have given it to the townships, the ability to do that, because that would have dropped that down to a manageable area where there's a problem, but that's a legislative conversation, not
There
what
again,
we're
that's
dealing with today.
kicking the can down the
Yeah.
road.
And then just keep in mind too, that that would be what townships have exclusive jurisdiction over, so that would apply to township roads only if townships could
Correct.
restrict them to their townships. It would only apply to township roads.
I guess by the same token, any actions we do only applies to the roads that we have exclusive jurisdiction on.
That's also correct.
Well, one of the other problems with this then is we don't have a map that defines that of where you can and cannot, because if we were to adopt this, okay, it's just our jurisdictions again.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Munson.
I have met with the Highway Department's GIS group, and it is a map that we are in the process of trying to figure out. Like I said last meeting, I got a whole dissertation on right-of-ways and all the different options and the possibilities, and it is something that has been touched on, and we certainly can take that to the next level as well.
Part of my thought process with the map is that also gives a guide sheet for law enforcement.
Correct.
They're gonna have the ability to go, you're where you're not supposed to be, and then that's part of the enforcement issue.
But she's just telling us that we can't do that.
Well, no,
What am I
jurisdiction,
missing here?
just our roads.
So what we were looking at for the GIS map was specifying where the property owner has rights up to the center line of the road, and so therefore an OHV, even someone riding a horse can't legally go on that property.
Okay, that
So-
doesn't exist, but go ahead.
So that was our goal, was to put together a list of at least properties that own their property up to the center line of the road right away, or the road. That way we could list, in Burleigh County, these are the areas that are prohibited from driving because they are owned by private citizens. It was an attempt to try to help this situation.
I know what you're meaning to do, but
Practical application.
generally
is
speaking,
different.
our roads are section line roads for the most part. And on any section line road, public travel is authorized between 33 feet of the center line. So 66-foot wide strip of land is a statutory public travel area, even though I own it to the middle of the road. I can't stop public travel on that 33 feet. Okay, so, you know, the fact is, the map isn't gonna change that. Because nobody can stop, if it's a section line road, I can't even stop it on my own. You know, and not that I have to, I don't want to, because the county built a road that's too steep for anybody to ride on. And so my problem is solved, but I want to solve it for the citizens, and right
Right.
now, we're not making any headway because, I mean, at the very least, we should look at the language that you're proposing. I think that particular time is irrelevant, and I don't think it has anything to do with adverse weather or adverse soil conditions. We're totally missing the boat on that, and I can tell you because I built the stuff. And I see it, and I told you that we've been over there repairing trails that we actually built at Fort Lincoln that only get walking and bicycles. That's it. Never a motorized machine except for like ours or park staff, and we're not out there tearing it up. But they still, the ruts were so deep, and the reason we were there repairing them is because they were hitting their, the cranks on their, the pedals on the
Pedals on the bike.
bicycles were hitting the ground, okay? And that's had nothing to do with motorized. So I want you to understand that there's more to this. To just say that it's a couple people liking to tear it up in the mud, that's tilting at windmills or something like that. Thank you. Now, if you're convinced that language would help in some form or fashion, I don't think it goes far enough.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'm going to move to adopt the amended OHV Ordinance 23-01, which will create Ordinance 26-01 with an effective date of May 15th.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, what are we, go ahead.
Okay,
You're talking about this one we got right in our
Yep.
packet today.
What's in our packet includes the two amendments that were passed at this table last meeting. And it also includes the language that state's attorney placed in here regarding certain, the temporary restrictions during certain conditions. This is not a subject that's going to go away. This is going to keep on going for years. But here, at least we have stronger fines for our sheriff's department to enforce. As of last meeting, this was not passed as a complete amendment or ordinance because we didn't have the last language. So even though we made the votes on certain items last meeting, it still did not pass as a complete ordinance, which did not allow the sheriff's department to actually enforce what we approved last meeting. So that's why this motion includes an effective date for the ordinance.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Buck?
I'm not comfortable with passing a blanket across the entire county. Just in that regard, this is a step in the right direction, but by no means is this even close to where we need to be or I foresee us actually becoming. And I think some of those solutions are the user groups, the dealers, opportunity for the landowners to chime in on that, and the state. The state really needs to be part of this, including some conversations that I've been having with some legislators on, okay, thank you for what you did, but you didn't go far enough.
Right.
You didn't drill down into the weeds. That being said, there's no way I could support a ban across the entire county because we don't have the problems across the entire county. And I'm not going to over-legislate and penalize individuals that aren't being part of the problem. This is a step in the right direction. Again, this is another Band-Aid, which I'm not really happy about, but at least it's a bigger Band-Aid.
Commissioner Schwab?
Well, I don't know if I can support this either. The fines are too low. We can fine them up to 1,500. We should be starting at 5 the second time, 1,000, and then 1,500 from there on. And that will clean up a lot of that. But this fine schedule,
Mr. Chairman.
Heck.
Commissioner Wood.
I'd like to ask our state's attorney, how do we amend this ordinance? If we were, say, a month from now, and we want to change, like he's talking the fines, how do we do that? Do we have to start all over again and do public hearings on any changes we make and that type of thing?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
But no different, oh, excuse me, Mr. Chair, if I can.
Commissioner Munson.
It's no different than we did here. We we had an open public hearing, we took citizens' concerns, we created.
Why we're here.
That's why we're here. This proves that we can take an existing ordinance and amend it and put it back into a functioning ordinance.
Sure.
Commissioner Buchan.
Just going back to the fines, I don't know if you caught Highway Patrol posted about somebody doing 103 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour zone.
Mm-hmm.
The fine on that was $134.
Yeah.
So when you start talking about the fines and would you like them larger? Well, we get up to $750. But for doing 103 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour zone on the state level, granted, 12 points.
Right.
But it's $134. We're well beyond that. Well beyond that.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
No.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No. Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioners. We're going to move on. Damon Mills, Morton Township Chairman, floodplain resolution. Welcome, Damon.
Chairman Bittner and Commissioners, did you come up with a decision on our resolution?
Okay.
Are you going to vote on it, or do you need questions from me?
Commissioners, there's a question about the floodplain resolution in your packet. Any commissioners have questions on that?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Visiting with our planning and zoning director, is he here? He had some concerns about floodplain and that type of thing. Is he here? There he is. Have we gotten that resolved? I guess have we gotten that resolved, and is it a real concern?
We asked for the Morton Township to include indemnification for Burleigh County.
Right.
And they did, what section is it? Number 8 in your packet, page 37. So they included that indemnification, which is what we asked for.
Chair.
That, Commissioner, hang on. That doesn't make any sense to me. At number 8.
So if.
I can read, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
It's SB 2027, so it's.
So did
it
Morton
starts out-
Township previously exercise floodplain management authority?
Right. It starts out with, it automatically defaults to us for the floodplain management of Burleigh County. The townships can opt out of that and create their own ordinances and enforce it themselves. Now, where this starts is if they had, so they're gonna enforce it themselves now. If they stop,
Have they done it previously?
no, they have not.
Well, then that whole section 8 with the word "if" in the beginning makes it moot.
From my understanding, it would, if they decide not to enforce it.
No, it just doesn't come into play at all, because if Morton Township previously exercised floodplain management authority and then further becomes subject to county floodplain ordinance, there shall defend, indemnify, and hold harmless. That doesn't help us one little bit.
I believe it's talking about in the future.
Right.
The
but
way
if
I
they-
understand
if
it.
they've, I think you're missing my point here, Mitch. If
Oh.
Morton Township previously exercised floodplain management, they haven't done it previously, right?
None of them have.
So is this then? I don't think it's clear enough, because if they've never done it before, how would that apply today? Commissioner Bakken?
My question was along the same lines, but when we sign off on this, then as soon as they're passing their floodplain ordinances, then they're exercising floodplain management at that point moving forward, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Again, I was a little confused on the language as well until
I think that whole sentence, that whole first sentence should just be struck and start with Morton Township shall defend, indemnify, and hold harmless Burleigh County and its agents and everybody else.
Mr. Chair, that's my question too. I agree with that. That first sentence is wrong.
Yeah, I think it should be struck.
Struck completely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then say, Morton Township shall defend and indemnify and hold harmless, because that's the only concern.
That, absolutely.
You know, if there's a problem, a liability issue or anything else, we just want them to, have their own.
Julie?
Yes, it's basically attorney legalese, basically saying, because they're trying to exercise their floodplain authority now. And so if they later become subject to our county floodplain management in the future, then they will, if they have exercised this floodplain management plan that they want to enact, then they shall hold us harmless and indemnify us if they end up underneath us. That's what it's trying to say. I understand your concerns with the whole if then in the future if this happens.
Can you just
So
strike that sentence?
perhaps it should be written as if Morton Township becomes subject to County Floodplain Management Authority under this section, then they shall defend, indemnify, or hold harmless. I think it's the previously exercised is what's hinking everybody up because they're saying what they're going to do in the future in the past in this section because of, yes, I know, I get that. I understand why it's written that way, but that would be my suggestion. Is that it says if Morton Township becomes subject to County Floodplain Management Authority.
Okay, so if we just.
And has exercised its floodplain management authority under this document, then they shall hold harmless, because they can do this.
Yeah.
And then if they don't go forward and implement it,
So what you're saying, if we read it as if Morton Township, stop right there, fast forward to becomes subject to county floodplain management. So you strike
after
that.
exercising their floodplain management authority. You see what I'm saying? Because if they don't implement this, I mean,
Okay.
that's what they're trying to do is implement it. If they don't implement it, then they wouldn't have to hold us harmless because there's
Okay,
nothing
how about
there.
then just change, instead of just wipe out the word previously and change the D on exercised to exercises. If Morton Township exercises floodplain management authority and becomes subject.
And later become subject to County Floodplain Management
Yeah.
Authority under.
Yeah.
That would be
work?
fine as well, yes.
Okay. Just trying to make sure that we're. Okay, so Commissioners, my proposal then in this language, and I would hope you wouldn't have a problem with it, but if Morton Township exercises, so strike previously and change the D on exercised to an S. So if Morton Township exercises floodplain management authority and becomes subject, yada, yada, yada. What do you think, Commissioners? Commissioner Schwab?
What happens if they decide to turn over the floodplain management back to the county in the future?
Then they're, under this term, they shall defend, indemnify, and hold harmless Burleigh County. Because I could see them running into a problem.
Morton County, they'll turn it back.
And I can see getting back a mess.
Well, that could very easily happen when,
And we're gonna be stuck with it because the township's not gonna have the money to pay for it.
Well, they're agreeing to defend, indemnify, and hold Burleigh County harmless.
Agreement and doing are two different things.
Well, I think that gets into courts and stuff like that.
I mean, are they
right?
gonna have insurance and stuff to make sure that,
I don't think that's something we need to worry about today. No. We'll just go and repossess his place. That's all. Just kidding,
Might
Amy.
cover a little bit.
Yeah.
We had our floodplain management already before the state passed that law and took it away from us.
I don't think that qualifies as floodplain
Why is
management.
it
I don't
that
think
you
you ever
want to
did anything
have-
with it.
Do your own.
Well,
What
one
is-
thing.
What is the reason?
You guys are at a 500-year floodplain setting. We would go back to 100, or maybe not even have any.
Well,
Because-
see, from the start of this, my concern was that he made it clear to me that their goal was to not have any floodplain management. That's what he said, and I guess that's their wheelhouse then, if they want to.
Well, all our citizens don't want it. That's why I'm here.
Well, yeah, you can be sure the citizens down on the south side of Bismarck didn't want to
want it
elevate
either,
their
but,
houses, and they didn't want to do any kind of that flood protection stuff either
My
until
insurance agent will- and my
2011.
bank will argue with me.
We're
on
not the
2000.
south side of Bismarck, though.
Well, yeah,
So-
but, you know, that's your issue, not ours.
So if there's flooding and they don't have no floodplain management, they take out county roads, who's gonna put them in?
What was the question again?
Well, I think
You know, it's
I think this
hypothetical, but I'm,
shall defend, indemnify, and hold harmless Burleigh County.
yeah, but the roads are out, we've gotta fix our county roads.
Well, I'm thinking if it was damaged by flooding, I
liable.
think they're gonna be liable.
Yeah, they're liable.
They're assuming the liability.
You don't understand what I'm saying. I
Right.
don't think they have the money to do it. If you get a real disaster.
We would build the township.
Well, yeah, billing them and collecting are two different things.
Yeah, that's true.
Mr. Chair, if they have floodplain ordinances and they're enforcing them, their ordinances have to meet what the state requires. And if they're enforcing them, they're doing it correctly, then they're allowed to participate in the NFIP. If there's a flood down there, then it's declared a disaster, then they get federal funding from FEMA to fix it.
If they do that, but like I
If they
said.
do that.
Damon has explained to me that they don't intend to do that, so.
Yeah.
But having this clause in that contract is what I was after, so that they're the ones that are on the hook for their decisions, not us.
We don't have a problem with that.
Are you good with that language change, or do you have to go back to your commission to?
Well, I guess if like we said the first time, that we'll work with you guys on that, but that language is what we thought was what you guys wanted, so that's why we put it in there that way. It's not our language.
Okay, well, what's gonna have to happen if you're not in any hurry?
Well, well, the Water Resource Board is, but
Water
I'd have to
resource.
come to another meeting and come up here again, huh?
Well, I can tell you what, as far as I'm concerned, this board, we could make those changes and approve it contingent on them
Contingent upon
accepting.
theirs, yep.
You know, and then that way, when they meet, they can do it, and they're just good to go, because they're gonna have to.
I would move to approve with recommended changes as per our state's attorney and
Second.
Chair Bittner.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve with the changes we made, and just for clarification, I was striking the word previously and adding the letter S in the place of the letter D on section 8, page 37. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab?
No.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
No.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
No. Now what? Motion does not carry.
What's the matter with Commissioner Munson?
Doesn't like
I
something.
can
about
agree
it.
with you every once in a while.
He voted with you.
Thank you.
Okay, you know,
So we need to give them some direction, though. We can't just say no and.
Right.
yeah, I agree.
If we're arguing about that one paragraph, let's get some hope for them.
Well,
Whether we change the language to
Well,
serve us,
I think that it's okay to approve it. My issue and the reason I'm voting no is because they've expressed to me that the goal is to not do floodplain regulation. And I think that's harmful to citizens. That's why we have adopted it. We have we have millions, billions of dollars worth of property that are affected by flooding and those possible things. And while it might not be a problem for them today, it could very well be a problem at any point in the future where you get a 3-4 inch rain and somebody's place washes away. That's the only reason I'm opposed to it, not because of the language.
I'm opposed for the exact same reason.
No. I think they should realize that there's going to be some concerns if you go to sell a piece of property, if you try to finance a piece of property, or if you try to insure a piece of property. So those are all going to be concerns that get raised if there isn't one, if there isn't.
I would agree. If I was a banker, you know, or an insurance company.
Yeah. What's your property valuation at that point? Whatever the market dictates, you can sell it for. And if there's no floodplain mitigation, because there isn't, that's going to greatly drive down the value of a piece of property.
Yeah, my concern, Commissioners, really is because they are citizens of Burleigh County, and I understand that it is their authority with the township board to kind of make those decisions. I get that, but this is a bigger thing, and, you know, sorry, it's just a bigger thing. Mitch?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, they have the authority by that Senate bill to opt out of Burleigh County and create their own flood ordinances and do their job. That's their option. The Senate Bill 2027 gave them that option, and they're trying to exercise that.
But that also says they have to do a job, right? So just not having one is not an option.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't think there's much to worry about because it's not mapped by FEMA map. There's no rate maps out there yet, so there's no floodplains, nothing.
There will be.
But there are other ways, best available data that's available for them to enforce this. Now, whether they do that or not, it's going to be up to them. The problem is, right now, they're not currently mapped by FEMA. They will be, pretty soon.
They will be.
Yeah. So
When would you anticipate that being done?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, yeah, that's a loaded question, right?
We know there are wetlands. It's NDRAM has done a really good job. The state has done a really good job on mapping those wetlands, and we know that there are going to be floodplains in designated areas in there that's going to have elevated buildings and that sort of thing. But they can exercise this power through Senate 2027. So. I don't know if you can try to stop them. I don't think you can.
No, I'm not interested in trying to stop them so much as I've warned them every which way I can about the significance of the floodplain and those hazards. I don't actually understand why they're asking for a resolution from us. If the Century Code gives them the ability to do it, why are they?
Well, their resolution is they're trying to say that they want to do their own, and we have to be able to agree to
If the
that.
Century Code gives them the ability to do that, why are they talking to us?
Because it's an assigned agreement.
Yeah, it's the indemnification.
The state gave us that authority in the beginning of this bill. They also allowed the townships, to opt out and create their own ordinances. And that's what we're doing the resolution for, is to allow them to do that.
Just like we want to opt out of Garrison.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, we're at a little bit of a standstill with this forum then.
Yeah, so the state requires it. It's legal procedures. It's an agreement saying, yes, okay, you're going to do it. And so it's basically this resolution goes to the state water board, the water resource board will look at this. And then they're the ones that say, yes, you can. The final decision rests with them.
And that decision may not include an indemnification for Burleigh County, which is why I supported this. Don't agree with it, but that gives us that clause.
Well, it usually takes more than a few minutes for me to change my mind, and I haven't changed my mind, so I don't know what you want to do, Commissioners. Commissioner Schwab.
The reason I voted the way I did is, once again, I'm not going to vote for anything unless it's complete and brought back. Now, we did a joint power with the city. I haven't seen before and after yet. So we don't know if it's been changed.
We'll get you a copy.
And that's, to me, that's, you don't vote for something until you see the final project, the final
Okay.
paperwork.
All
And
right.
that's
Well,
the same with this.
Then at this point, if that one, if you want to take that position, the best I can do is have this on the agenda for the next meeting to include those changes. That's all we can do. Otherwise, I think we're just going to sit here at an impasse. What do you commissioners think about that?
I would concur with that.
Okay. Commissioners?
Yes, have them bring it back with the amended.
Okay. Commissioner Woodcox, you okay with that?
Sure.
All right. That's what we're going to do. You're going to make those changes that we discussed, have it cleaned up, and we'll reconsider it at the next meeting.
All right.
Okay, we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting. Thank you.
Yep.
Fanatics Events, 250th Anniversary Celebration.
So Chair, I put this on the agenda just for an update with our investment into what the 250th birthday party for this great country looks like. And Will's coming in to speak and let us know what where we're at on the project. And it's starting to take some form now, so looking forward to seeing how that looks.
Thanks, Commissioner Buchan. Chairman Bittner, Commissioners, thanks for having me tonight. And as Commissioner Buchan said, I'm going to provide an update. My name is Will Sattler. I'm the General Manager for Fanatics Events, which is the team helping put on this 4th of July celebration. It's kind of crazy to think today marks 2 months to the 4th of July, 61 days. I'm certainly counting down the days because it's going to be super exciting. As you guys know, America's 250th birthday is this year, so we're certainly very focused on making this an awesome event, especially with your additional support this year. Just want to provide an update here. So all 3 of our headline items have been confirmed. So we'll have a synchronized drone show from Sky Elements that'll be in partnership with our traditional fireworks display produced by local fireworks vendor J&J Fireworks. And that will also coincide with a live patriotic performance. It'll be the 36th edition of the Bismarck Mandan Symphony Orchestra performing all together synchronized at the same time shortly after dark around 10:30 p.m. we expect. So super excited there. On top of that, we've booked, or we're in the final process of booking 3 additional local opening acts. This allows us to have programming right from the start at 6 o'clock all the way until the end of the firework and drone show. So there's no shortage of things for people to enjoy. We've added some additional production with some additional video board screens on the field where the stage is set up. This allows people throughout the Babendick field to be able to see what's going on in the stage. That was some of the feedback we heard from last year's event, as well as there'll be some collaboration with the actual MDU Resources Community Bowl video board for fans that want to sit in the stands and still enjoy the show. We've kept emission free. That's a super big focus for us. We're starting to get deeper into public safety. We're continuing to coordinate with all the local emergency services. We'll host another meeting here in June to go through emergency action planning, all those good things with the City of Bismarck Police, Bismarck Fire, and EMS, and all the different stakeholders to make sure that our community is safe for events like this. That includes, for us, also planning out traffic, parking, and crowd flow plans. We're looking at some additional entry points and exit points to allow a smoother entry and exit to make this super easy for anybody that wants to attend. So that's super exciting on the progress that we're making there. From a funding perspective, we have a few private sponsorships we're still pursuing, but we feel on track with the budget thanks to your guys' support. As I mentioned, this is a free family event. We'll have more inflatables than we had last year. That was a super big hit with attendees. We're working in partnership with Gateway to Science right across the street from the Community Bowl for some STEM-related activities, as well as we'll have over 10 local food vendors that'll cover anything from dinner items, snacks, desserts. Concession stand will be open, as well as drinks. So that's an exciting piece from the experience side. Just the last note on communications, our website is live. We made some adjustments there. The domain is bizfourth.com, the number 4th.com. We have a Facebook event live. There's a new Facebook page specifically for this event that's shared with the Fanatics events page as well. We're featured, which is I think my most exciting thing, we're featured on the official America 250 website, which is awesome, as well as some of the statewide North Dakota tourism websites. So word is out, momentum is really building with this. So I guess overall, I'd say thank you guys for your support on this. You're really helping us make this something special. I'd love to see each and every one of you there. If you don't already have 4th of July plans in attendance for a great time. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions, comments, or concerns.
Commissioner Buchan.
Two things. One, because I'm glad the tourism is part of this as well. So as far as outreach for the county, as far as Bismarck Burleigh Public Library, Senior Center, it would be really great to have more out-county residents being able to attend this and be aware of this event, being that it is a family-friendly event. And then any truth to the rumors that you're going to bring Trump over from the library over to our event?
To answer your first question, that's a great note, Commissioner Bakken. We'll continue to look. That's something that our team consistently does. One thing that I was really impressed with our team in planning, we did apply once again for the ND 250 grant that was available. That was one of our focuses. And they have this awesome history walk about the 150 plus years of the city of Bismarck and the region to kind of tie into that 250th year anniversary. So we're always looking for this. One thing I will note, it's sometimes a challenge to find participants over the 4th of July, but I think that's certainly something we will continue to pursue. So great note there, and I can't comment on the status of the precedent.
Okay, thank you. Just thought I'd ask.
Anything else? I'd be happy if the commission wishes to come back in June or any time before and provide another update on planning.
I would love a update as we get a little closer again, too.
It's
So
quite good. It's pretty good.
yeah.
It's good for the public to hear it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Perfect. Thanks, Will.
Anything else?
Okay.
Will? Thank you. Mike Berg, Apex Engineering Group. Sanitary sewer easement, welcome.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Mike Berg with Apex Engineering, and I'm the project manager for the Hay Creek Lift Station and Interceptor project for the City of Bismarck. I'm requesting approval for a minor addition to a sanitary sewer easement that was previously granted by the county approximately 2 years ago. The original easement was about 1 mile long and went along the edge of the slough that's on the south side of the fairgrounds. The proposed revision adds a sliver, a little irregularly shaped, but it's approximately 9 feet wide at its widest point and runs about 360 feet. As construction progressed, there were several contributing factors that led to a slight shift in alignment, and this adjustment aligns the easement with the construction. There is no change to the overall project scope or purpose. The city will continue to own and operate the sewer, and there's no cost or responsibility to the contractor. I also want to acknowledge a recent issue where the contractor accessed a county road that was closed without authorization, or used the road without authorization. This has been addressed directly with the contractor, and we've communicated with county staff and coordinated with the city. We're working to understand the cause and what steps need to be in place so that this doesn't happen again. With that, I respectfully request approval of the revised easement as presented, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Schwab.
I'm going to move to approve this. I was out with Mike this afternoon, and we looked it over. It's not going to affect anything. It's actually kind of clearing up paperwork because they had to go a little bit further away from the power lines on account of guide wires. So as far as affecting roads out there or anything, no, it won't. and it's down below where you can't develop. So I see no problem with that.
I'll second for discussion.
Motion and a second, and further discussion.
Actually, a question for Commissioner Munson. And I went out there and looked at this as well, but you don't see any, with granting the extra easement, any concerns as far as what future plans out at Missouri Valley Complex are. So I just wanted to make sure that you were signed off on that.
I would be in favor of getting this easement done so that we can get this sewer line done.
Okay.
That's my biggest concern, and I'm very grateful for Commissioner Schwab to take a look at that and give us his opinion, so.
Well, there's two other things we want to talk about after this vote yet.
I am a little cranky about the road damage and whatnot that I'm seeing out there.
Right.
And I'm cranky about those speed limits showing up. Somebody owes me $10. Anyway, we have a question on that. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Now, he brought up the removal of barricades. It is now the policy of the highway department, if we catch anybody moving barricades, that goes to the legal department. And I understand there's a case number on that. They're nodding yes. The Bismarck police have taken photos of it. They were told by the road supervisor, and I believe Dan, not to move them. And they went ahead and opened up the road anyway, so they have to pay the price.
Yeah,
Because we're not gonna put up with removal of barricades anymore.
Yeah.
And Mike understands that. Now, the other thing that I was gonna bring up, we were talking, I might have been out of place in what I said this afternoon, but when they cut that sewer off up in a high spot and isolate the one going through the fairground, I had made the comment that they probably should put a stack there so we can find the end of it. But the city may want a manhole there. It's actually gonna be theirs. So I think, Mike, you need to talk to them and forget about what I said, because it's their decision, not ours. It's their sewer.
Yes, Chairman Bittner, Commissioner Schwab, I'll coordinate with the city and I'll let you know what the proposed approach is there.
Well, I don't want to make decisions for the city.
Would this be a good time to mention that you're in the legislature?
The what?
We have someone front and center.
He is.
You heard
he
our
is.
earlier conversations.
Yeah, you heard the conversations. Okay. I don't need to go into that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, Taylor Schmidt, Interim Finance Director, Discover Merchant Settlement.
Good evening, Chair Bittner and Commissioners. I'll try to make this quick. We received some notices that we may be eligible to receive some settlement funds from a Discover merchant lawsuit settlement that they reached. Apparently, they were overcharging some fees. There's no extra information we need. I just need your consent to file the claim, and there's no estimate of what we may or may not be entitled to. I don't know exactly where it came from in the mail, but there was a sticky note on it from the state's attorney that said that all I would need is your approval to file this, and we're good to go.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? Commissioner Schwab?
Are you serious? A credit card company overcharging?
Shocking, right?
It's unheard of.
$12.14, but that's okay.
Hey, as long as it's worth your time.
Everything
Call the
counts.
Oh, Lord.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Thanks, Taylor.
Thank you.
Dan Shriak, County Engineer, we got a whole list of things.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We just have a few items on the agenda here.
First item is to authorize the proper county officials to enter in a contract with the low bidder for project number 0193, which is that SAD number 70 Ponderosa Riverside Village roadway improvement project. On April 6, 2026, the county board authorized the county auditor and the county engineer to advertise for bids for that project. Bids were opened on April 28th, and Strata Corporation was the apparent low bid. There is a proposed resolution. I would stand for any questions.
Any questions, commissioners?
Chair.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Commissioner Bakken?
So Dan, a little over the estimate?
Yeah, when I put the estimate together,
Other than fuel?
trucking costs were
Okay.
the big part of it. So.
That's what I figured, so,
Yeah. For now, I think we're going to see that
yeah.
for a while. Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Go ahead, Dan.
All right, next item we have is to authorize the proper county officials to enter into a contract for township gravel hauling. On January 5th, the county board authorized the county auditor and the county engineer to advertise for bids for the township gravel hauling. We opened bids on April 28th. WMD Saponiak was the apparent low bidder, and I would recommend approval of the proposed resolution in your packet.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the gravel hauling. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
All right, the next item we have on the agenda is to accept their platted right-of-way as shown in the attached plat in your packet. Burleigh County is required to accept on their own behalf or on the behalf of their townships right-of-way shown in plats that are approved by the city of Bismarck, city of Lincoln, or Burleigh County. JFP Fox Haven subdivision has been approved by the city of Bismarck through their ETA process, and we are requesting that the county board accept the right-of-way that is shown in the attached plat. There is a proposed resolution. I would try to answer any questions you have.
Commissioners, any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
No.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Went too easy, huh?
ETA. I don't like ETA.
So, that should be one of the last ones.
It should be one of the last ETA. It just,
Probably in the process.
Chair, so Dan, this is kind of just housekeeping from where we were at, cleaning up projects already in the works, right? Correct?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bakken, that is correct. This should be one of the last ones that was still in their process when we converted all the ETA over to us. So.
Thank you.
Yep. Next item we have is a pavement waiver request. Action requested is to review and direct the highway department on how to proceed with the developer's request. Under the current pavement policy, developers and owners of property that are being platted are required to pave all internal roadways and adjacent section line roads and construct them to our standards. Timothy and Mallory Clotty, track 10 in northeast quarter of section 11 in Burn Creek Township. There is a map in your packet. Are proposing a one-lot subdivision and are requesting a waiver of the pavement policy. Under this pavement policy, the platting of the property would require them to pave 2.5 miles of township subdivision roadway. There is a proposed resolution if you decide to grant the waiver. I will try to answer any questions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the proposed resolution. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
All right, next item we have is to conduct a public hearing for the vacation of roadway right-of-way in Ponderosa Riverside Village replat. Jeff and Kim Esslinger would like to have the platted right-of-way in Ponderosa Riverside Village replat. Property is located in the southeast quarter of Section 3 in Hay Creek Township. There is some maps in your packet and the petition to vacate the right-of-way. Additional information, Jeff and Kim Esslinger are currently working through the platting process, and if granted, they would like to plat the vacated unimproved right-of-way into their plat. As mentioned, this property, or this roadway has not been built. They own all the parcels around it, and I would recommend opening the public hearing, and I will come back for any questions.
Did we have this scheduled for a public hearing for tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and anybody else have any questions of Dan before we do that? Okay, I'm gonna open, I'll open a public hearing regarding a right-of-way vacation request. Is the requester here?
Yes.
Wow, there we have it.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Commissioner Bittner.
Thanks for your
Bittner,
patience.
Commissioners. My name is Jeff Esslinger. My wife Kim and I are the owners of lots 1 through 4, block 15 of the replat of part of Ponderosa Riverside Village, which is the land adjacent to Buckboard Lane, all 4 sides of Buckboard Lane. We have submitted a petition to Burleigh County to vacate Buckboard Lane in its entirety, with the length being 580 feet. And I can show you the aerial view. So you can, nope, there's a, okay. The kind of goofy looking long line with the bulb at the bottom looks like a thermometer. That is what would be Buckboard Lane, but it has never been built. There is no evidence that Buckboard Lane exists except for that drawing. And so that is what we're asking to have vacated. We'd like to build a multi-purpose shop on our property, and we can't literally, we have 10 acres, we can't build on any of it right now because there isn't a primary residence on the 3 lots, so we can't build there. And our lot already has the number of buildings that we can have. So we'd like to build it right where that road is, and therefore need to get that removed. And this is a view of exactly where that would be if it was there. As you can see, there's not even an approach to get to it. So if the only place you'll ever find Buckboard Lane is on Google Earth. It just doesn't exist anywhere else. So the purpose of the request is to vacate Buckboard Lane and to combine all of the 4 lots into one lot, into one usable lot to allow for the construction of a structure. The replat has been submitted to the county and will be on the agenda for the next planning and zoning meeting. This vacation request is in accordance with North Dakota Century Code, Section 240703 for public roads. Buckboard Lane was never constructed, has not been traveled on for more than 10 years. Travel is made difficult due to natural obstacles, as you can see. It is surrounded by other subdivisions, all of which we own, so it doesn't affect anyone other than us. The public benefits to this road closure are that Buckboard Lane was never constructed. The county will never have maintenance requirements for it. There's no liability or risk to the county if it doesn't exist. Elimination of maintenance and safety concerns and returning the land to the tax rolls, which is bad news for us because we haven't been paying taxes on that little thermometer, and now I will. I didn't know that until we started this process, that I was not being taxed on that, so maybe I should
Back
go
taxes.
No, there's no back taxes. So approving this vacation, it removes county liability, not necessary for county operations, will not create any landlocked properties, will not reduce public services. In fact, it means that there's 3 houses and the 4 or 5 cars from each one won't be on Ponderosa Avenue, so it'll help with not increasing the traffic load. All easements of record will remain in place. A replat will be completed, putting the land back on the tax roll. In conclusion, we have the full support of the township for the vacation of this property, and we are asking for your consideration and approval of Buckboard Lane vacation. Thank you, and do you have any questions?
Yeah, what size is that? What size is that easement in square footage?
As I said, it was 600 or
580 feet by 80
580 feet, and I'm guessing it's 16 feet wide?
I think it's 80 feet wide.
80 feet wide.
But based on this map?
Based on the map, yep.
So that's about 45,000, so with the size of that ball, it'd be probably 46,000 square feet, which is right around a acre, right?
Yep.
So you're asking us to basically give away an acre of Burleigh County land, right?
I guess, yes, one way to look at it.
Okay. What's an acre of land worth in the area?
I really have no idea. not been in the market for it for 25 years.
I see.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
I was out there today and looked at it, and there's no reason why we should deny it. And they're going to build on it. Looked good to me. I couldn't see anything wrong with it, us passing it. Other than I didn't see any OHVs out there. I drove all around Ponderosa about 8 times, finding this.
The only
But no
off-road
HVs
vehicles
with
we
it.
have hooves.
There was a guy with a boat that blocked the whole. Never mind. I move we approve.
But we don't have, the hearing's still open.
Yeah,
Oh,
hearing is
I'm
open.
sorry. That's right.
Okay. Anything else? Any other
Public hearing.
questions for Jeff? Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody else wish to speak on this item? This is a public hearing. Does anybody else wish to speak on this item, vacating the right-of-way? Third and final call. This is a public hearing. Does anybody else wish to speak on this item? I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
Mr. Chairman, I would move we approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No. Motion carries. Not for any big reason. I've just kind of wrestled with that question.
How
And
much
I-
it's worth versus.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know, I understand it only has value to this one landowner because he owns the land around it.
Everything
and
around
I
it.
think that's fine. I don't have a problem with doing it. I just have
Yeah,
that
but you can't even
underlying.
make the argument now that, well, at least we're putting it back on the tax rolls for property taxes, but we're trying to get rid of those, so. That's kind of a moot point, isn't it?
Very true.
Yeah, we just did a good job on eliminating county portion of property taxes. But go ahead, Dan.
All right, next item, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, we have on your agenda is the review and direct the county highway department on how to proceed with a second approach denial request. Scott Berger has requested a second approach permit to the property described as Block 2, Lot 5 of Briardale subdivision, address 9019 Briardale Drive. The first approach is currently located off Briardale Drive. The second approach would also enter off of Briardale Drive as shown on the map. The second approach was denied because of spacing requirements and proximity to both his neighbors and his driveway. He has asked for an appeal of the highway department's denial. I don't have any big issues with it other than it is pretty close to the neighbor's driveway location. So there is a map in your packet if you would like to look at that.
Okay, so your initial denial was because it's just too many driveways?
It doesn't meet our spacing requirements, which we usually try to get 100 feet between different driveways. This is a low-speed, low-volume roadway, so we have denied these in the past and they have appealed them to the county board, but that was our original denial, was because of the spacing requirements.
Okay, but it's not a safety concern?
No, I'm not really concerned in this area with safety or, like I said, low-speed, low-volume, and
How far is it from the spacing, the distance?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. If I had to guess, it's probably closer to 50 to 75 feet.
Say 50,
Yeah.
the way it looks.
Yeah. I don't know if he is here if you'd like to hear from him.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
have the
Woodcock.
neighbors been informed?
We generally don't send out
Don't need to do that?
We don't send anything to the neighbors.
Who's the? Okay, Scott Berger, you want to come on up? Welcome.
Hi there, Chairman, Commissioners. Basically, we bought this property in September of last year. It's got a wooded area behind it, which Sibley Drive sort of wraps around the development. My original intent was to see if I could get a approach permit to come off of Sibley to get in the back of my lot. And I applied for that, and Dan informed me that, that's not really policy to be able, you have to come in from your own development area. So then my plan B was can we do another approach? This approach will be actually minimally used. I want it to be able to just go along the property lines, clear out a little bit of this wooded area, and put some trailers and equipment back there, sort of hidden back there, so I don't have to have it on the front of the lot, looking pretty ugly. The actual ditch is probably, a lot of those ditches down there are very shallow. This probably got about an 8-inch ditch to it in that area. But yeah, the intent is just maybe use it once or twice a week, maybe even less, but just to be able to get some stuff in and out. So.
Commissioners, any questions for Scott? Sure. Commissioner Bach?
Have you had any conversations with your neighbors, especially in the adjacent?
I have not talked to
No.
anybody about it. If a person drives through there, and this doesn't make it right or wrong, maybe it doesn't answer your questions. There are a number of approaches down there, because I've drove through here and checked
Right.
on it, that are similar, maybe a little bit more distance, but that was done over the years, that whether it was done right or wrong, I don't know. But I would be happy to talk to some of them. We just moved down there, don't know a whole lot of them, but I know the house right beside me that would be the closest one there. That's owned by somebody that rents it out. I guess I could find out the owner of that. And
Well, good way to meet the neighbors, but I drove down there, and from a safety perspective, I didn't, if it would have been on the other side of the curve, I would have had some issues, but on this side of the curve, I didn't see any safety concerns with the sighting of a second access point there.
Yeah, Commissioner Schwab?
It's fully visible.
How far is this approach going to be off the, you want to get back behind from the property line?
Right.
Between your property line and the building?
so the house, there's quite a bit of space between the house and the property line. I don't know, 50 feet. I should have measured it, I guess. Because this would be what I'd consider the west side. On the other side, the original people put a shop in and everything, so you can't go through there to get, back to that area. So I'd simply put probably a 15-foot roadway back there to get back to that wooded area. And I did check, answer the one question. We're probably about 25, 30 feet away from that other approach onto the house to the west of me, I guess. And here again, it'll be infrequently used, but it would be to, gain access back there, so.
Dan, what did you recommend on this or say about danger?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Schwab, generally speaking, we try to get 100 feet. Obviously, in this circumstance, we can't get 100 feet between these two approaches. I don't have any concerns with this low-volume, low-speed roadway. Sight distance appears to be good down there. We only denied it because of the proximity to the other driveways.
Is that really a heavy travel?
No.
No.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? I think one of the things we maybe should do is consider contacting the neighbors on each side of these things. Not for you, but I mean for us. Just get a little input, see if anybody had an issue with it or not. I don't want to get into where we're sending out 100 envelopes and whatnot, right? But
Well, and the other concern is the lot.
just call them.
Huh?
I was going to say just call them.
Yeah, so the other concern is where, Dan, you might have some concerns about this, is the lot across the road's not developed either. So, where's their approach going to go? So just from an alignment perspective, if we're cluttering the one side of the road, then that could have an impact on the other side and what somebody wants to do with their other property. So that was one of my other concerns when I went down there and looked at it. But, yeah, I don't see an issue from a safety concern anyway.
Commissioner Schwab?
If you get the approval to do this, no fudging and going off on the other right away, you know that.
What's that?
No fudging and going further out.
I got to get along with everybody down there, so.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcock.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
All right, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the last item we have under the Highway Department is permission to add Zipley Fiber Pacific to the list of approved utility companies for utility permit issuance in county right-of-way. Historically, the Highway Department has requested that the county board approve any new utility company that was requested utility permits. Zipley Fiber Pacific will provide retail, internet, and voice over IP services to the residents of Burleigh County and is requested to be added to our list of approved telecommunication utilities. I just wanted to add that I did receive an additional email for a little bit of clarification. It looks like there's two companies. Zipley Fiber Pacific is actually the utility provider, and NFC Northwest is the company that will actually own the fiber optic that would be in the ground. Their representative had emailed me this morning, and I just got that information before this meeting. So,
What would this do for them? No.
This, what are we asking for?
Yeah.
We're just asking for permission to allow them to grant them utility crossing and longitudinal permits due to the fact that it's a new utility in our area and we're not familiar with them, so.
You heard anything about it?
Just the only thing I know about them is the email that Administrator Sanger and I had received last week.
Is this one of them, here come the data center deals?
According to the email that they sent out, they say that they're going to provide retail, internet, and voice over IP. I would assume to compete with back-end Mid-Continent and CenturyLink.
Got that in writing?
I have what they have sent me in the email.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? You're always heading into the unknown with this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Any other
Competition's
discussion?
good, right?
Well, they do have to get a permit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that's not a perpetual permit though, right? A
No,
permit is-
we approve individual crossings and longitudinal. However, there is a caveat to the whole thing. It's just like OHV, we can only give them permission to be in the right-of-way. They still also have to work with landowners to get permission to be on private land as well, so.
And this very well could just be a crossing through Burleigh County. They might not even be doing business here at some point either, so who knows? We don't know.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
All right, thank you,
Thanks,
Commissioners.
Dan. Kelly Lieben, Sheriff, VFW Post number 1326, cash donation. Welcome.
Good evening. That is loud. That lady's correct. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. At the request of Commissioner Bittner, we had reached out, as you're aware, to the AMVETS, and they give us a donation for a drone of $25,000. Again, at Commissioner Bittner's direction, we reached out to the VFW here in Bismarck, Post 1326, and they also gave us $25,000. What that's going to allow us to do is to purchase two drones that we would never have probably had the money, even struggling to do it through budgeting. So that's going to be some very good technology for our department. So basically, I'm just asking your permission to accept the second donation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to accept this generous donation. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
So you can
Kelly,
track down,
I just want to mention
OHVs, right?
a big thank you to the AMVETS, the Bismarck AMVETS, and the Bismarck VFW for their generosity with the gaming proceeds to help us to fund the necessary equipment of the Sheriff's Department. I think that's a very big deal. Thanks for following up on that.
Yes, no, thanks for the idea, and absolutely, we are going to do a joint press release with both those organizations, so.
Good, all right, thank you.
You can monitor OHVs with those, right?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, they have their limitations. They have their pluses, but they have their limitations too.
So that doesn't
More
get a predator?
batteries.
No.
Can't go fast enough.
Yeah.
Predators.
Oh, they can go fast.
Predators do.
Predators
Yeah.
do.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Munson, you got a MVC mowing quote and a fire ban amendment.
Well, I need to, we need to feel sad, number one. Elite Lawn Care, who had given us a quote to mow the Missouri Valley Complex, when we reached out with them with their contract and reminded them that it was a weekly mowing, not a bi-weekly mowing, as it was advertised correctly. They erred in their bid, and they asked if they could revise their bid. We can't. We can't allow that. So I am moving to approve the second low bidder of Knockout Land Management of $9,000 monthly, $45,000 seasonally for the mowing contract at Missouri Valley Complex.
I think I misunderstood the numbers.
$9,000 monthly.
9,000.
We went from $3,900 to $9,000 a month to mow the Missouri Valley Complex on a weekly basis.
Are they mowing the whole damn place?
No, they are, we sent them a map that showed where the Parks and Rec were responsible for, and very specifically the areas that they were responsible for. That's what all three bidders received. And our highest bid was $11,475 for that same area.
I'm in the wrong line of work.
How many, when you say 9,000 a month, how many times do they mow? for a night?
Weekly.
Weekly.
Once a week.
Yeah. Which even if Elite would have.
If they'd bid it correctly, they would have
bid
been.
it correctly and doubled their number, we still would have been better off with them,
But we can't allow that.
you don't have Forrest Gump's number, do you?
I don't have Forrest Gump's number.
Man, I just think that's too much money for mowing, guys. We're gonna be hiring somebody, and we've got mowers and such. That's,
Next year, for sure, in budgeting, we were gonna have to do something, because that is a lot of money to be mowing.
that's a lot of money for mowing. That place is not that big. I mean,
Consider we were paying Parks and Rec $100,000 to do all of the mowing for all of our facilities, and the docks, and the maintenance of the bathrooms, and the tree trimming, and the park maintenance. We only spent $100,000 for all of it with Parks and Rec. And we're looking at spending $45,000 just to mow the Missouri Valley Complex.
Plus, we gotta buy mowers, right?
Well,
And
so
those
that's,
what are those costs?
Dan, what are you talking?
Spendy.
How much for a mower? 100,000? 50,000?
No.
Can't be.
Do you get a big commercial mower?
Commercial, you're
Zero
looking at
turn?
40, yeah.
No.
At 40, 50,000?
20.
Jerry, you're retiring, right?
20. I'll do it for
You wanna be our
10.
Forrest Gump?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I don't know that exact number off the top of my head, but I can't see it being more than $20,000.
See, I said,
But I don't have a good feeling of what a zero-turn commercial grade mower costs. It might be 40.
When I was on the park board 4 years ago, they were over 40. They were closer to 50.
So I honestly, we haven't bought a commercial grade mower for quite some time,
Yeah.
so I don't know what those cost.
But as Commissioner Bakken and I have talked over the past several months with the re-envisioning of our own park district, we're gonna have to take on some of these thought processes in the 27 budget to lower our costs, because, like I said, this is half of what we paid Parks and Rec to do everything.
So we have a motion. Did we have a second on that as well?
I didn't hear a second, no.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further
Otherwise, we'll
discussion?
get yelled at by the weed board.
Any further
At the
discussion?
rate the weather's, they probably only have to mow it a couple of times.
Right?
Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
No.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
I already voted.
Already voted, yeah. Chairman Bittner.
No. Motion carries. I just think that's too much money.
It's
It is
ridiculous.
too much. It's
It is.
ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mow a lot. I mow quite a lot of acres at my place, and it's just, that's a lot. But
If
anyway,
I wouldn't have
okay.
had a higher bid, I would have questioned it as well.
No, I understand.
But
Okay, moving on.
the second item, and I'm going to apologize to Mary Singer, this is for a fire restriction conversation, not a ban. So shortly after our last meeting, I received a phone call from North Dakota Parks and Rec. Their concern with the Missouri Valley Complex that if we have a high fire danger issue, and they already have a training planned, their request was to have the Missouri Valley Complex exempt from the fire restrictions for operating OHVs at the complex for their training purposes. Shortly thereafter, I had also received a call from the sheriff, and you have a letter in front of you from the Corps of Engineers. Now, this came late. I don't want to take action on this letter. I would like it to be back on the agenda for next meeting if you so choose, so that everybody has a chance to look at and read the letter from the Corps. The Corps is also requesting that Kimball Bottoms recreation area be exempt from the fire restriction rules.
Can we find out if the Corps is gonna pay for the fires they start down there? It seems to burn all the time.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not prepared to talk about the Kimball Bottoms area because, again, this letter came late. So really, I want to focus on the Missouri Valley
And
Complex.
I don't think you've been out, you're out there. I don't think that, we should be having off-road vehicles out in the weeds out there at the fairground.
The training only
No
happens
training.
within the
I don't have a
circle track.
problem, I don't have a problem with that, but.
Right.
And
And
it's.
it's
They have to stay on an area.
No, no.
Well, I just don't know what the weed situation and the grass situation is out there, because I haven't been able to get out there lately. But this seems like it's right along the same lines of that we were talking about earlier with the ATVs and the 5 mile or whatever, and
Exactly.
all or nothing
Yeah,
now.
here we again.
How all of a sudden are we doing
Yeah,
exemptions for?
state and federal agencies.
And if state's attorney and
Well-
lawyer is telling us we can't, I'm fine with that. I'm just bringing forward the request from the respective groups.
So the Corps of Engineers runs their own areas down there, and they're in charge of that, and you can't really tell them what to do in their own areas. So I haven't seen this letter, I don't know what that's all about. Regarding, thank you.
Fast draw.
Regarding having fire restrictions and then putting limitations on that, I don't know that there's anything in Century Code that allows you to pick and choose which restrictions you're going to enforce and where you're going to enforce them. And so it's pretty much, I'm sure they're asking for, if they're asking for to go down to train, I'm sure they're asking for just that one exemption for that one thing, and really, it's all or nothing.
Sheriff Lieben
Kelly
has
have
some.
something to add?
Kelly has something. He's volunteering to come up and talk again.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, obviously, Julie's your legal advisor. I guess my question is, when I look at 53 counties' burn bans, they're not all consistent. So I think the law gives the commission the authority to create the burn restrictions for their county. So it's not selective enforcement, it's you could say you can have a charcoal grill. Emmons County might say no charcoal grills. So I think we should look into that to see what authority, because I think you can exempt areas, but I'm not the legal advisor.
I would prefer to table this and give Julie a couple weeks to look through it.
Second.
And I would just point out too, that if you're gonna ban charcoal grills or restrict charcoal grills, you're doing that across the entire county. And if the other county doesn't want to, that's across their entire county, not just
Well,
charcoal
the-
grills
For
in.
Bisman people reporting the news, we are not banning charcoal grills. Before it gets out in the press erroneously.
I don't think there's a need to have a motion and a second to table. I think we just move it to the next.
That's fine.
Move it to the next meeting.
next
Okay.
agenda for the next regular scheduled county commission meeting. With the discussion being
Did you have a copy, Mark?
that letter.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, under me, multi-hazard.
Getting close to the end of the meeting, it's getting tougher.
Multi-hazard mitigation plan. The reason I put this on here is because this is kind of a big deal for Burleigh County. The emergency manager went through and did all the updating and changing and got our multi-hazard mitigation plan passed on the first whack, and people were congratulating her from different organizations, and I thought it was important to relay our congratulations as well and probably get a little bit of information on that plan from Mary. Please. She can tell you more about it than I can.
Chair and Commissioners, we go through a comprehensive update every 5 years. It has to be approved by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This formal approval gives Burleigh County access to a handful of grants. And we do our own plan. So Burleigh County is one of a handful of emergency management entities in the state that does our own plan. So the rest contract them out for up to $75,000. This also allows our communities, Wing, Wilton, Lincoln, to apply for the same grants that Burleigh County can apply for. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations and thanks for the good work.
And it's also a public-facing document. It's on our website, and anybody can review it. If they have other mitigation opportunities they want us to consider, we can certainly add them in at any time. If it's not in the plan, we can't apply for grants, but we can add activities in anytime.
Okay. Very good. Thanks, Mary. Appreciate it. Well done. I got a call last week that I was speaking with Commissioner Woodcox on some other issue, and we talked a little bit about this continued garrison diversion discussion, so I had that added to the agenda, kind of late breaking. Because I think the question was, based on the decision of the Garrison Diversion Conservancy District, we have a certain amount of time, it's time certain, to appeal or not, if we wanted to appeal that decision and keep that ball in the air. And that's why that is on the agenda today.
So what is the time?
I believe the decision was on April 16th. I'm not positive.
And we have how many days?
30 days. So that would be before our next meeting. That's my understanding. Now, don't quote me on that exact day, but whatever the day was, we had 30 days.
But how much time afterwards do we have?
None. You have 30 days from the date of the decision, whatever that was.
I'm working on it. Can we appeal? Just appeal?
So to appeal, you'd have to give a notice of appeal to the agency, and you'd have to file it within the District Court of Burleigh County. That has to be done within 30 days after the decision was made, and
Just
so.
filing, right?
And the notice, yep. And so that would be, I want to say it was May 16th. I think I did the math and sent it to someone. Someone had asked me. May 16th, I think, is the deadline, because that's a Friday. I think the decision was made on April 17th, but May 17th would be a Saturday, so it would have to be done by then. And then the process from there is we have to pay to get the record made for the court, because the district court is just reviewing the decision along with all of the information provided to make sure it wasn't just an arbitrary decision.
So the question is, are we going to appeal?
Right.
I'm all for it.
Mike, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Wood.
My question would be, and State's Attorney Lawyer made the statement, we have to pay. What are we looking at for cost?
Is it less than $1 million?
So it would.
Yeah, it's less than 750, right?
I couldn't estimate it at this point. I don't remember how long the hearing took. There was written testimony, so we'd have to gather all that, and then it would basically be a transcript of the recording of the hearing. If they had a court reporter there, because you could always do that too, and have somebody typing it up, then having that person transcribe their shorthand typing, so,
We had it recorded.
generally, it's about $4 or $5 a page.
We were a short segment though, and we actually had it recorded, so does that have any benefit for?
Well, we'd still have to have a court reporter or somebody officially type up a transcript of that.
Just
And-
of that section.
Of that section of the meeting, right, the hearing that they had put on, and then all of the written testimony that was provided as well.
Would
Would've
that
been
also
cheaper.
include the recreational committee meeting that we had the initial recording on? Because that was really bad for them.
Would that be?
The record that the court looks at is what information was provided regarding Burleigh County's benefit to being in the Garrison Diversion District. So their hearing regarding this matter is the record that we would have to
Wait a
prepare.
minute, I brought that record up
At a minimum.
Garrison before they made that decision.
Well, if you
I
brought
just-
it up during
I-
the thing, then
I
it's
brought it
fair.
up. Matter of fact, they didn't like that.
I'm sure
Cheaper
not.
if you weren't so long-winded.
So, I mean, it's on the record that they're not doing any water projects, blah, blah, blah. It's all on there.
We could request that that be prepared as part of the record,
I
yes.
think that would, if it's relevant, it's gotta be,
Because they took public input on it.
yeah. And also the part, make sure that we're keying on the part as far as the, thing about this question of them being able to grant money under the state constitution where we
I brought
can't.
that
but
up.
they-
I brought up, we don't want to be part, well, I kind of didn't word that correctly, but why would we want to be a part of an organization that's going to deceive the legislature? I mean, that whole transcript was brought up on that meeting, so that should be, okay. The thing that well, I don't want to say too much here. I got to talk to Julie about it. I'm still AI in this outfit, but we got to appeal.
You're running out of time. You've got a window.
Well, today you have to decide whether or not you want to go forward with an appeal, because that would have to happen before your next meeting.
Move to go forward.
Second.
Motion and a second to
Chair,
appeal. Commissioner
again,
Munson.
what are we looking at spending? How much are we authorizing to spend public dollars to do this?
Said she
And-
didn't know.
I was going to say, I don't know at this point, but what we can do is we can ask, we'll find out how long of a recording and/or transcript, or if they had a court
It's a couple
reporter, I don't know
hours,
what they
wasn't it?
did. But we can figure out how much that is and then get an estimate for that. Once we file the appeal, we can always withdraw that if you don't want to move forward with it after that. The first step, though, is if you are considering doing that, is to meet those deadlines to get everything filed.
Okay, any further questions? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
No.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Mr.
I
Chairman.
actually think we got a
Commissioner.
very good case.
I've voted against that all the way along, and I've changed my mind in that we're at the final stages where the court's going to decide what's going to happen. So I want to move that forward and get that done and get out of the way and move forward, so.
Yep.
Okay. We're at that point in the meeting where I got to ask any other business for the good of Burleigh County, being as how I missed dinner with the wife. We could stay for a while now if you want.
It's just on a microwave for me every Monday.
Yeah,
It don't
okay,
matter.
Okay. Any other business for the good of
On the
Burleigh
bright
County?
side, we're out of
Anybody?
here before 10:45.
We are adjourned.
We are.
Quarter to 11?